There's blood on the ground, go and take it. You get one shot to make it out alive. So higher and higher you chase it. It's deep in your bones, go and take it. This is your moment, now is your time. So prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Rise, push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. Rise. Welcome to the climb up, reach for the summit. Visions brave, the one false step lead the end. So higher and higher you chase it. It's deep in your blood, go and take it. This is your moment, take to the skies, go. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Rise, push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. It is you fight among the dead beneath the dirt. Or do you know yet? Or do you want it? And when the giants call to ask you what you're worth, do you know yet? We don't die. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Rise, push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Pick up your weapon and face it.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our grand finals here for the Victorious Rivals series. I am your play-by-play caster tonight. Once again, Becky Rita, and joining me on the desk is, of course, Shibby. Shibby, how's your evening? How are you feeling coming in here? Coming in hot for this grand final match?
Yeah, I missed a couple weeks. I casted semis. I got to catch some of the games in my prep. I think this is going to be. I'm gonna call it early. I think might be a 5-game series. Beckerita, both these teams stacked to the gills as we get into the draft right now. A bunch of bands flying through the window, right? Aphelios, Volibear, Ari, Amumu, Seraphine, Blitzcrank, all over the place right now.
Yeah, and we'll have Maokai, Bing Chillers, right after my own heart here with Maokai's pick. My boy, my son, my child, Maokai, can't get enough of the tree. A lot of fun builds you can do, a lot of different sorts of styles you can play the Maokai in terms of whether you go Aftershock or if you go First Strike. I'm pretty sure you just always go First Strike, though. It is just really good. So we'll have to see what they do with the Maokai, but they will go ahead and respond with the Xin Zhao. And Xin Zhao is not a champion we have seen too often recently, but is quite effective. So I'm interested to see what he'll do this game.
Yeah, the Milio being left up is really interesting. I would have thought that either Dorado or Bing Chilling would have banned it. The Volibear ban is a direct response to Dolce last week, just kind of dominating on that pick. He's on something very similar, very feast or famine kind of jungler where he has to get a lot done early. But I feel like you could have just rotated that third. I, in my opinion, would have just taken the Lucian Milio lane or the Cog Milio lane. 280 carries that pair. Fantastic with this support. I think it's the number one support in bot lane at the moment. He is just destroying high elo. And really, I'm surprised that they kind of left that up. If I'm Bing Chilling, I would either take the Kog'Maw or take the Lucian. I feel like Lucian Milio is a lot more oppressive. But instead, they're just going to go Varus Carmen. They're going to go full poke lane in response to the Lucian, in response to the Milio, which has had varying success. I think a lot of people have been trying to match hard engage, which is really not that easy considering Milio's Q. So I think going something more Enchanter, going something poke based, kind of negate some of his abilities and negate that he doesn't really have that too much HP regen. Screw that though, they're just gonna go Ashe.
Yeah, honestly, kind of. Varus is a champion we've seen in AD carry quite frequently during these playoffs matches, but the Ashe is not something that has come up super often. And with the Ashe, it enables sort of more of a pick style with the Xin Zhao in terms of looking for an engage, getting on that single target, and obliterating them. Will it work out? That is sort of the question that remains to be seen. And these teams both still have 2 picks to work with here. I do really like the Varus just because of how flexible it is as a champion. You have a few different build options depending on what your opponents play. So you have not just a solid champion in most situations, but you can also have this adaptive champion who can be very flexible in game. So very interested in seeing how that Varus turns out. Once again, I am a Varus build enthusiast. I love talking about Varus builds, and I will not stop. In the bans, we have the Victor taken away from Watercat. He played very well on that during the last playoff series that we did not see. I caught that on my other monitor watching their matchup against Lit Club. He has played quite well on Victor during playoffs, so not too surprised to see Watercat get that taken away from them. Meanwhile, Olaf and Lux getting denied from Dorado.
Yeah, and now you're kind of working your way through the mid lane pool, working your way through the top lane pool. Let's see what Dorado actually ends up saving their counter pick for. Top lane, generally, counter pick is really, really good. It's one of those lanes. It's probably the lane that is the most matchup dependent at the moment. And so if you can get a really nice top lane counter pick going into Bing Chilling and just really hammer home that advantage, it'll work wonders for you guys getting early Herald control, getting more gold into your pockets. You can then turn that into gold into the bot lane potentially. If you're winning, you can do a lot with a winning top lane if you can just win outright without any jungle intervention. Akali being locked in for Dorado. Flex pick still, can go top, can go mid. More commonly seen mid at the moment. But Bing Chilling, they've got one more pick ready to go. And they are going to lock in the Gangplank. very, very self-sufficient. Doesn't do a lot for the jungler, right? You can't really gank for a gangplank. Doesn't have a lot of CC setup. Can't really do much. But it's also very safe, right? With the scurvy, the ability to clear waves very easily with the barrels, and obviously the ability to have that global impact on the map, right? Can help your team, help your Maokai, right? If you throw down the gangplank ultimate plus the twisted advance coming out from Maokai, it's very, very hard to run away from that. But Urgot being locked in as the final pick, and I'm pretty sure the cleanse or gangplank W cleanses the Urgot ultimate, correct?
I believe it does, but I will say I think it actually just cleanses the slow. I think you can still get executed off of it. But it's been a while since I've played into Gangplank as Urgot. Chat is saying that it does get cleansed. Maybe we'll see that interaction play out in game. That would be interesting. But I will say, looking at Bing Chiller's comp, now that we see both of these comps fully here, Bing Chillers have drafted a really late game centric composition here. They're very focused on these sorts of slower scaling lanes here. Gangplank does have power early in the game, but because Urgot has range, he can actually try to play the barrel minigame and not always lose. So Urgot has that sort of advantage in top lane, or that sort of not advantage. I'm not going to say you ever want to play the barrel minigame, because if you play it and lose, it's really bad. But for Urgot, it is definitely more advantageous than other players here in that matchup. So it's going to take quite a while for Bing Chiller's comp to come online, but I think once they do, they have a really strong core of just good champions with good buttons. And particularly their ability to zone control around objectives is going to be incredibly insane. But with Dorado's comp, what can you sort of pull away from that, Chibi?
I mean, they've signaled to me that they want to play, like you said, a pick composition, right? The Ash, the dream scenario for them is that the Ash arrow goes in, lands on somebody like the VRS, like the Vigar. Urgot throws his ultimate out, and Akali gets in range to try to execute. And if the target gets low enough, Urgot can just reel them in to the meat grinder here, right? They're not playing for like this 5v5 team fight composition. They're playing for, hey, if you're caught in a side lane, if you're pushing mid and our Akali's around and our Urgot's around, we're going to send an Ash arrow flying at you. The Milio is there to kind of cleanse some of the CC that is brought on by the Maokai, by the Varus, right? Ideally, what you do is you just let the Maokai ult you, you cleanse it all out with the Milio, and either potentially disengage or re-engage if you want, right? Xin Zhao ultimate, really good at doing either. That ultimate pretty much puts a protective shield around you. And if you're not in that circle, any damage that comes in through that circle immediately gets removed. It doesn't happen. So very, very solid, like keep away composition, I'm going to say, from Dorado Gaming. But it feels like Bing Chilling, if you let them get to that 35-minute point, this Vigar, this Varus, this Gangplank, they'll just simply outscale you, right? And it's going to be really hard to kind of, like you said, defend against those barrels, defend against a Vigar one shot, right? Varus with his own ultimate as well sets up a lot of pick potential along with the cage. Bing Chillings have more flexibility in their composition, while Dorado, they've got really only two things to do. We're going to pick you off one by one, or we're going to disengage and hope that one of you guys step out of place, you push a side lane or anything like that. But I feel like giving Gangplank, specifically Bennett, a virtually free lane in the top lane is going to be very, very problematic.
It could definitely be problematic to have to play into that. Giving that free lane over to Gangplank never feels good, and the onus is going to be on Urgot here. Formerly 6 legs deep, named for the Urgot champion, now known as Ice Spices Munch. So I don't know whether that's an upgrade or a downgrade to
Period.
your name, but it is what it is. Uh, so I think looking at these two compositions, we've got an exciting match in front of us. And of course, this is on a new patch. None of these the only champion here I'm looking at that has been adjusted on this patch specifically is the Akali, who got minor damage buffs to her Q. We'll see if that actually plays out. If the 3-point strike is now a little bit more dangerous and gives her that extra kill pressure, or whether or not it was just placebo and we're all coping. But with that said, we're going to go into a break for the spectator delay, including a potential Riot client delay, because patch days are always just wonderful for spectate mode. You don't really notice these things until you're regularly doing broadcasts and spectate mode continues to fail you. So we'll be back whenever Riot decides to let us in with our game one here between Bing Chiller's Hard Hat and Dorado Gaming Gamma. So stick around. We'll have this game coming at you after our break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Game 1 here on the Rift for the Victorious Rival Series Grand Finals between Bing Chiller's Hard Hat and Dorado Gaming Gamma. I am once again Becky Rita. Joining me is Shivy. On blue side, we have Bing Chillers. On red side, we have Dorado. And looking at just this line of scrimmage here, 5 pointing on both sides, no one really wants to take any risks here at the start of our series.
Yeah, I think some interesting things to note is we do have some downtime right now because of the 5-point defenses. You mentioned Akali did get changed, but we did get some pretty impactful changes kind of across the board in terms of 80 carry items. Also, you guys are going to be seeing a lot more champions with blue buffs and red buffs once these smites get upgraded fully, right?
Yep.
So if you guys aren't informed, pretty much every jungler got the Ivern passive. So what that means is if you have a jungle item and it's fully upgraded, and you have that smite fully upgraded, any buff that you take, anything that happens, you will leave an either a blue buff or a red buff for any of your laners to take. Also, if any of your laners take the buffs without you being there, a blue or red buff will be left for the jungler solely to take. So we're going to have a lot more buffs flying around. I think it's going to have a lot of interesting implications, especially the blue buff around dragon timings, around barons, right? Around playing poke compositions, because you're going to have essentially 2 blue buffs available. We might have some pretty interesting stuff moving further down into the competitive scene. Don't think it's going to matter too much here, other than the fact that you won't be running out of mana as quickly later into the game, but still interesting thing to note.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna... It's a kind of, as a jungler, it feels like kind of a strange change. I don't mind it because it means I no longer have to think about giving buff to my laner and having to communicate with them in solo queue. Hey, come get your buff, otherwise I'm taking it, and then they just ignore me, and then I take their buff and they get mad. So I don't have to communicate that anymore. They can just get it for free. That's kind of nice to have. But I think overall it's going to be a little bit not too impactful, or maybe it will be pretty impactful, I guess. In my mind, I feel like, oh, good, that's slightly more mana. I feel like the double red buff is going to be a little bit more impactful in the later stages of the game, but that is just sort of speculation here based off of, you know, absolutely no knowledge. I have not played on the patch today. I'll be honest, I forgot there was a patch until I logged in. So, looking at the game right now, pretty standard starts for both junglers, although Dulcerero is going to be up on the top side looking to go for an invade, but Maokai actually cleared from top to bot. So Dulce is now discovering that information and will be using that to the best of their ability here, or maybe they'll look for just the top scuttle and we'll get some vertical clearing here from both of our junglers as Inferno steps up to step up.
He stepped up, was trying to stop some backs, kind of succeeded inadvertently, right? You did it. You just did it the wrong way. You sacrificed your life bar instead of your mana bar here. Maybe Carino and Griffin were trying to get like a cheeky back off, maybe a cheater recall so they can pick up an item advantage because they did have that lane pushed up. I'm surprised that, you know, Guster didn't actually try to attempt a gank or didn't really try to do anything. The warding there was really nice from Dorado Gaming's bot lane. Now, Ice Spice and Bennett trading in that top side, but Dolce is here, but everything is scoped out. Both of these teams giving the junglers a lot of respect, preemptively warding. Nobody has died to the fatal 2-minute, 45-second gank, Becky.
Yeah, no 2-minute 45-second ganks, no early ganks at all, to be honest. Vision was dropped over onto the Gromp, so they know that Dulce is not on bot side right now, hasn't taken their recall quite yet, and they have a little bit of info on where this Xin Zhao is. So that will be useful for kind of just the entirety of Bing Chillers to sort of survive here. Xin Zhao's early ganks are very dangerous. He tags you with Wind Become Lightning, and you become dead. It's a very easy flowchart process that Xin Zhao follows in the early stages of the game. Maokai as well, he clicks Twisted Advance on you, and you become advanced into a gray screen. So either way, both these junglers should be having a lot of pressure, but the good warding and good info from both teams is sort of preventing that from really coming through. So the game remains rather slow, except in topside where Ice Spices is getting quite a lot of damage here onto this Gangplank, but Gangplank still maintaining a solid CS against the Urgot and maintaining similar, you know, higher in EXP, although it just got evened out as this wave gets cleared. And now Drake's gonna get taken.
Yeah, with that bot lane pressure, right, and the Hawk shot being available, realistically, Dorado's bot lane should never be in danger, right? Griffin hits level 6, can instantly cleanse the VRS 6, but Guster knows something is going on. Is he going to go for the steal? He's going to flash over right now.
There is absolutely no reason to go for this early steal. You sort of try and gamble there. As the jungler, I will say, you know, as a jungle player myself, that is never a flash you want to take. It is absolutely no dangerous situation. It's like, oh, I'm going to give over 400 gold for a 50-50 that I might not even hit. That is a GameStop trade right there. You do not want to take that. So this Drake, using the pressure bot side, will just go over to Dorado here.
I like what's happening, right? I like what Dorado Gaming is doing, right? They're kind of just controlling the wave states, keeping it even. Ice Spice shoving Gangplank in, but like we said, Bennett keeping pretty even in CS, and if he gets a relatively free scaling lane, once we hit that 25-30 minute mark, as Ice is looking in the bush, trying to do something cheeky, these barrels, these late game champions from the Vigar, from the Varus, from the Gangplank will eventually start to really put the pressure on. I do like what Dorado has done, though. I do like what Dorado has done. Getting that early dragon, amplifying it to getting potentially a very, very early dragon soul for themselves, 23 to 24 minutes, could put the game in a position where Bing Chilling isn't allowed to scale. They aren't allowed to get to that point, and they're going to end it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, the quicker that Dorado can find a win con, the harder it is for Bing Chillers to actually win themselves, because their win cons are rather later in the game. But fortunately, at least for right now, these lanes being rather stable for them is genuinely pretty beneficial. Losing that Drake is going to feel pretty bad, but once they get some items under their belts, like once this Vagar hits 2 items, once the Varus gets his mythic, once Plank hits 2 items, you're going to see a little bit more aggression coming out from this Bing Chillers comp, as their champions just have really good buttons that they can hit and just a lot of power in their individual kits, but they'll have to make the most of it. And on top side here, we have a potential dive being set up as a flash is going to get blown by Guster. On the bot side, Inferno's going to look to just get a chain down, but it will not go through on the top side, and Nature's Grasp will lock Ice Spices in place and dissuade Dorado from diving, but Guster Posey will not go any further, and both of these junglers will just continue on their merry way unless Guster decides to wander into his own demise. He gets the wolves, but will he be punished for it? As Urgot, sniper from downtown, gets the execute, the devour, and the 400 first blood gold.
Guster walks into his jungle, buddy, brother. That is not your side of the jungle. Dolce doing a really good job right now. He's got the flash. He's got the flash.
He's got something spicy in his pocket, and it is another kill on top side. 6 legs deep may no longer be with us, but this is still a 6-legged fiend in top lane.
And you don't even need the ultimate if you're Urgot here. You just catch Bennett out of place. And like we mentioned, Dolce doing a very good job using the shove, using the push that both Urgot and Akali are getting in these lanes. If Bennett and Watercat are stuck under a tower, if I'm Xin Zhao, I am 1000% invading this Maokai's jungle. You can't do anything about it. And Guster getting greedy for his wolves. I believe he got it, but instead traded his life here. Very, very smart play from the Xin here, but also greedy play from Guster here. Like, you're never going to have priority. Your sole job is to make sure that your laners are staying even, if not slightly ahead, and just don't die, and eventually you'll win the game. By going back and greeting for your jungle, you are just putting this game on a shorter and shorter timer for the rest of Dorado to kind of end.
Okay. But he got his wolves, all right? He secured the wolves.
Sure.
So, you know, at the end of the day, who can really say if that wasn't worth it? Yeah, that was a little bit interesting, but now Maokai has found a potential gank opportunity here. Milio does have the ultimate. It will get blown here. And that is quite a number of cooldowns here getting blown before this next Drake attempt here, as the Nature's Grasp and Cannon Barrage gets blasted into bot lane for no effect.
2-for-1 ultimate trade, right? Griffin uses his cleanse, his team-wide cleanse, but now you set up for potentially Varus's ultimate here. There's nothing to cleanse it. I don't know if this dive is going to work. Xin Zhao's coming.
Yeah, Xin Zhao's on the way, and they do still have to worry about Enchanted Crystal Arrow as a potential counter dive tool. Ashe as a whole has a lot of these really good safety tools with the volley, with all those slows being pumped out here. And now Bennett's going to get flashed on right now. The ulti is up from Urgot. This is just going to be a 1-2, buckle my shoe, 3-4. We are holding on as long as possible, but the snipe comes through and munches down on a delicious pirate in top lane. But around the Drake here, we still have a 4v4. Guster's going to get the lockdown on to Dulcerero, but the Crescent Guard is going to keep him safe. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to blow up King Civil. Now Watercat on the front side doesn't have a lot of damage, can't look to secure Sluter here. Now Inferno on their lonesome is going to get 3-point striked, and that is an ace across the map, an 11 minutes 30-second ace from Dorado Gaming Gamma.
That was the fight, right? That's where Bing Chilling, they had to make a decision. Do they take the 4v4? Are they strong enough? Watercat didn't have his role available. King Civil, all this man had to his name, I believe, was a rage knife, right? They didn't have the gusto, the chutzpah to take that fight, Becky, and unfortunately, Dorado Gaming Gamma's buttons, their champions are just better. They spike earlier with components, and so they're going to win that fight. And Ice Spice is going to match on GP once again.
Yeah, he's got a couple seconds left on his ulti, but Guster will be able to stop that and just stand in front of it, unless he decides not to. Ooh, barely misses Bennett there in the top side. And that, TY for help. On clearing the grout, on clearing the scuttle. Thank you, Mr. Watercat. So overall, right now, this is an absolute top kingdom here. We're starting to see a little bit of why Urgot has been banned, but now Inferno is going to get caught out on the bot side here. Cannon Barrage is going to try and slow down Griffin and Carino, but it's not going to be enough, as that is just going to be a support wandering into their own demise, just trying to get wards out.
Yeah, another kill going over to Dorado. And this early game composition, this pick comp that we talked about, working to perfection. I mean, Ice Spice Urgot is just winning the lane himself right now. We talked about that top lane counter pick. I wouldn't really call it a counter pick, but just the ability to say, hey, I'm going to take Urgot here. It's going to be my final pick. He's solo winning the lane, right? He didn't need Dolce at all coming up there. Carino, though,
That
potentially might
was
be caught
a
up.
chain of corruption. That was a chain of corruption. Everyone, we all saw the
Being
chain of
civil has to
corruption
leave.
together, and that is
Has to
now
leave.
an
Getting to go.
anti-dive tool that is out of his pocket right here. And here
No.
comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Will crash onto the Varus. He's going to get stunned up for quite a long time, but TP is going to come down from the Water Cat as he will drop a cage, keep Dulcerero in trouble here, and standing inside the
Nice.
Crescent Guard field. That is a pickup there, punishing a little bit of over-aggression from Dorado.
Yeah, nice TP coming out from Watercat here. The TP changes have been kind of nice, although it was at the 14-minute mark. You get your Unleashed teleport at the 10-minute mark now. Regardless, very, very smart from BCHH, but they've still got a long ways to go. The objective bounties are up, and Sluder is just
Ooh,
going
this could be-
to fly his
Yeah,
way.
this is yeah, just a flawless execution there from Sluder, but now has to try and get out. There is vision, but nobody is really close enough to convert, so that will just be a Kali picking up a solo kill, another pick onto Inferno, who is merely just, I guess, sort of sputtering here. The flames of this Inferno are very pathetic right now. We'll have to see if that will change. Now Carino's going to pop Ghost, just
Carino
look for a solo
with
kill here on the
range,
King Civil with no support. That is just going to be a man taken to
Emilio.
the clinic here as Civil is destroyed.
That's just Milio things, guys. You increase the range of your AD carry that slows when she attacks, so that you never get away if you are King Civil here. That is just rough sailing into that bot lane. Carino and Griffin showing why you don't give that Milio away. You took the Maokai. If you're big chilling, what did you get in return? Like, your ultimate just gets hard countered by the Milio, and he'll gladly trade it 1-for-1 every single time as long as it keeps his team safe here. So then what does Maokai become? A single target CC kind of champion, and at that point, that's exactly what Dorado Gaming wants you to do. Target one of their individuals, they'll dump all of their resources, all of their damage onto you, potentially get a reset going, and eventually just win the fight through there.
Yeah, it is just wins and wins going around here for Dorado. The start of the game was a little on the slow side, but now that Dorado have found their footing, it is just getting so much easier for them to take total domination here. Granted, there is still the sort of, we have Veigar with Roa, we have Gangplank, we have Varus. If we wait for God long enough, maybe he will arrive. But unfortunately, she's busy right now. God will not be arriving this game if Dorado has anything to say about it. And this late game composition likely will not be able to come online unless they can find good picks and stall this game out just a little bit longer. 2 Drakes down. Rift Herald not on the board right now. It is in the pocket of Dulcerero. And this next Drake coming up in 16 seconds, rushing this win condition, like you said earlier, is going to be very important for Dorado. So let's see if they can actually secure it.
Sluder is just going to all-in Watercat.
Oh,
There you
in
go.
the mid lane.
Exactly.
Yeah, King Civil will get devoured here, but Dulcerero could be in a bit of danger, dropping the Crescent Guard to sort of avoid any more damage, but out of the range of any real threats. No Veigar, no Gangplank, and no support here for King Civil as they just get taken down by this pick comp that Dorado has assembled. And now, at 17 minutes and 30 seconds, it looks like the 3rd Drake will be going over to Dorado Gaming Gamma.
And you saw what happened, right? It was an Ash arrow into a very early Urgot ultimate, into them getting that target low enough to where he can get the execute on if he can reel them in. We're going to see that happen about 10 more times probably, right, before this game ends. It's going to be really, really rough, especially if you're Bing chilling right now. Nearly 5,500 gold down at the 18-minute mark. Dorado is just waiting for the Baron, right? It's 2 minutes until it's up. Dragon WinCon is going to be in about 4 minutes, so up to the 24-minute or 22.5-minute mark. They are most likely going to start Baron as soon as it spawns. They have the gold lead. They've got the champions. They're just waiting for it right now. They still have some tier 1 turret. They have a tier 1 turret in the mid lane to get down here, so they might look to push that in. But right now, DOGG have complete control of the game.
Yeah, DOGG right now, just no real threats onto them at all. We do have items completed for the side of Bing Chillers. We do, but it's just kind of not enough. And it is important to point out here that the Echoes of Helia was nerfed and the Moonstone was buffed. So these two items here were adjusted ever so slightly, sort of take a little bit of power away from Echoes because it was just insanely good, and give that over to the Moonstone, which you'll notice Griffin has built, which is kind of unusual for Milio. You usually see the Shurelias as opposed to the Moonstone, but I will say, with the Ashe, I do not mind it. I think it's pretty decent. But that's
Right
just
now,
sort of, that's an opinion.
It has 373 healing right now. So 19 minutes in, not crazy effective at the moment,
Yeah.
but Echoes of Helia, 140 healing done. So, like you said, some of that power being transferred over into the Moonstone, rightfully so, right? Because like you said, Echoes was just doing too much. It was doing damage, it was healing, it was just simply outperforming Moonstone on the new patch, or on the previous patch. So I like the idea. I like the adaptation. We definitely see Griffin. He reads the patch notes, at least. He read 13.11, so smart to him. I like the idea that he's trying it. If he gets enough value out of it, why not just play Moonstone enchanters in this series here? It's really, really good, especially you have Carino, who's a solid ADC, very, very smart, very, very good. Enabling him as a win condition is probably the right thing to do if you're Dorado.
Yeah, Dorado will be enabling this Ashe to succeed as best as possible. And with the strength that their front line has right now, with Xin and Urgot being so insanely far ahead, it is just going to be really hard for the side of Bing Chillers to find anything until, again, we get to these later stages of the game that just are not guaranteed for them. Something I would like to, as we are sort of in a slower state of the game right now, I'd like to talk a little bit about what Maokai has brought to the table here, because I am a Maokai enjoyer.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Literally nothing.
Basically nothing. In terms of his keystone, he went with the Phase Rush, which I do think is a pretty solid keystone, and especially into the Ashe, there's definitely value in it, but he still went for the Demonic Mask Rush. And honestly, considering how quickly you fell behind, it might have been worth it to pivot into something supportive. And we'll see if the support can come in for King Civil, who may have now found a potential engage right here as the Crescent Guard will push back the side of Bing Chillers, as they're going to get a little bit of damage right now. Two TPs are being traded in the mid lane, but Custer Posey's going to be the first to fall, as Dulcerero is going to make him become dead with that Wind Become Lightning. Bennett's going to be looking to try and get some barrel chains, but they are not going to be connecting on the backside. Sluter looking to potentially get a flawless execution of this Varus or this Veigar, but Carino is actually going to get blasted into oblivion by the Primordial Burst. But Ice Spikes has found a potential kill onto Inferno, who is going to get slowed down, going to get damaged, but the shield is going to be enough to keep them alive. And now King Civil is going to get quite a lot of damage here onto Dulce, who will now just have to walk away, limping here, and the Baron will not be aggressed on, and there will be at least a pick picked up by Bing Chillers.
You've slowed the game down, but only for a moment, as now the dragon is coming up. And if you're Bing Chilling, I don't think you can give the Ocean Soul away, right? It completely detracts from the burst that you guys have. If they're allowed to be in these extended team fights, which you've seen Dolce build the Gore Drinker, you've got Urgot with the Titanic plus Black Cleaver. And oh, by the way, you've got Griffin with his Moonstone Renewer healing everybody up. On top of that, with the Ocean Soul, it can become really, really difficult. So I like what Guster's doing. I like what BCH is doing. Littering the floor with these saplings. As now Guster...
He's going to be in a lot of danger right here. He's going to be dropping the Nature's Grasp, but he's just going to be grasping at straws with that play, as he'll get taken down now. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow is just going to fly in and secure Inferno, and Ice Spices on their lonesome, just going to be keeping the whole entirety of Bing Chillers at bay. as they need to strap on more than their hard hats here to keep this game in check, and they don't have enough safety gear to keep them alive as these picks keep coming through one by one onto them, and this Drake is going to get aggressed on here. Watercat maybe looking for a steal. The Meteor does a lot of damage, but the smite is good. It actually was very close if Watercat could have approached, but he just was not able to.
Yeah, and looking at this game, a lot of people are going to be looking at Ice Spice in the top lane, just doing a really good performance. But I think the MVP for me right now, Becky, is Griffin. I mean, every single engage attempt that has been made by Bing Chilling has been completely thwarted by Griffin, right? That ultimate coming out from the Milio, right? The breath of life seemingly has saved his team on multiple occasions. And you see, after they use that ultimate, it feels like Bing Chilling doesn't have anything left in the tank. They can't engage with the VRS. They can't do anything. So this Milio value is through the roof.
Yeah, Milio is just so huge right now here in this game. One of the best champions on the format right now. One of the just best supports. Last week we talked about how this champion has no bad buttons. He just only has good buttons, and those are some good buttons being clicked on to Guster Posey, who's looking like a poser this game. 0-5 on the Maokai here. Definitely a far cry from their performances on champions like the Wukong. And now it's just going to be Baron, very easily picked up by the side of Dorado. Here comes the Cannon Barrage, doing a little bit of damage here, but the smite's going to go through as King Civil is now on the front side with no backup right now. Watercat waiting for that stun. It's going to go down, but Ice Spice is going to flash. Flash traded by Civil. Bennett now in a little bit of a particular situation, but will still walk away. That is Baron. That is Soul. 25 minutes here. Dorado has already drawn 4 pieces of Exodia. They're just waiting for the head.
Yeah, they've got the Baron. They've got the Ocean Soul, and I'm pretty sure they can push in. Maybe not for the win unless they can potentially wipe Bing Chilling here, but they can definitely push in for an inhibitor. They've got the strength. They've got the buttons. Let me just look across the board, across the items, right? 2.5 items, almost 3 on the board for DOGG. And if you look for Bing Chilling, Gangplank and Varus have 2 items. Vigar has 2 items, but it's just not enough, right? It's too little too late, in my opinion. The gold lead is so huge right now. Dorado Gaming have nearly a 7,000 gold lead, and they've got to commit multiple resources, potentially even to kill this Urgot.
Yeah, will they even kill him? Guster Posey's going to have to flash away in this 1v2, and he's going to potentially lose his life, not even potentially guaranteed to lose his life as this tree is getting munched on, and Civil will get shredded, turned into a pin cushion in the mid lane. Having to step away will retain their life for just a little bit longer as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow is down here. Sheesh. Things are not looking good for the side of Bing Chillers. The ice cream machine is broke. They are not chilling this game for sure here in game 1. And now the assault continues. Sluter getting a shuriken on the Bennett. Bennett's just trying to clear those waves, but the barrel minigame is constantly being lost by him as Dulce stepping up. Doesn't have the Crescent Guard, but does not need it. Carino will flash there, so that is a major safety cooldown taken, but that turret will still fall and the siege continues.
Yeah, but even if you are flashless, you've still got Milio in your back pocket, right? He's got the ultimate, he's got the E, he's got the campfire, he's got so many buttons to help keep his AD carry safe that I think Carino will be completely fine right now. Gonna see potentially. Guster Posey can't ult, right? He can't ult. He has to wait for Milio to blow his ult on something else, or it's just going to be a 1-for-1 trade right now.
Here's going to come the Nature's Grasp, but Milio is low on mana right now. Might not be able to click the button, but the button being clicked by Guster Posey really just does not pay out. This 0-7 Maokai making me Mao cry right now for the trees right now. The Lorax is absolutely furious with Dorado this game, and Bing Chillers as well, as Sluter's just going to be looking to put the flawless execution into Bing Chillers right now, as Ice Spice will munch down on Varus one last time as they pick up the 27-minute, 45-second Nexus takedown in game 1.
Yeah, and that was just complete domination from Dorado Gaming, right? Every single pick worked for them. They picked an early game composition. They said, if you want to play the late game, you've got to survive. And unfortunately, Bing Chilling couldn't, right? I'm not going to say it started with Maokai kind of getting greedy in his own jungle. It felt like every lane was losing right now. Looking at the damage chart, it is pretty funny. Bennett actually ended up doing the most damage, but it doesn't really matter, right? Ice Spice had complete control of that top lane with the Urgot. Dolce on the Zinzao was using the fact that his mid and top lane had lane priority, had really good push, was keeping Vigar and Gangplank under their turrets, was able to invade, was able to pick up every single objective on the map. All 4 dragons, both Rift Heralds, the Baron. The only thing that was left for them was, if the game went long enough, the Elder Dragon probably would have gone in their pockets as well. But they complete this game in 28 minutes. Probably could have finished it earlier if they really wanted to, but just dominant performance from DOGG. And you just can't give Milio over like that, right? Like, that's just, you don't pick a champion that relies on, team fight CC, and then you give them the champion that cleanses team fight CC. So you either pick it yourself next time, or you just ban it away so you can run this 5v5 composition that you want to do. Because the thought was there, right? Maokai burns the ultimate, Gangplank burns the ultimate, and then you have Varus Karma chase you down. But the moment that went down, Griffin just ulted, pressed his button, and they just, skedaddled out of there.
Yeah, we'll see, if that skedaddling will happen, once again, if Milio stays alive in this game. But I've got a feeling that if Bing Chillers is not looking to pick it, that it is going to be on the ban list, because this champion is just absurd. One of my brothers who has not played League in an actual eternity, they only play TFT. They looked at Milio's abilities, because I think Milio's coming in the next TFT set. Is going to be in that set, and they looked at Milio's abilities, and they're like, wait, all of these abilities are just busted. What is this? What is this champion? What's going on? And you know what? If somebody who hasn't played League since literally Season 5 can recognize that a champ is busted, I feel like these players who are actively playing right now should be able to recognize that maybe you should ban the Milio away, or pick it for yourself. With that said, we are going to go to a quick break here as we collect ourselves, looking for game 2. When we come back, we will be in the draft for that game. We'll see if Bing Chillers can pull it back around, or will Dog get to their match point so they can get that 3-0 sweep and close out their season with some time to even get some good rest tonight. So we'll see. Stick around. We've got the League action coming at you after a break.
Ooh, yeah, he mad. I'm racking up white diamonds. Throw me in the sky, you would swear the sun shining. Ooh, yeah, he mad. I'm racking up white diamonds. Throw me in the sky, you would swear the sun shining.
In this Gothic underground city, we all sin. If I bring a couple rounds with me, then we all win. I came back and brought the crown with me. The kings can't break your nexus and your neck, cause everybody's on your head. Just might kick your butt, go run them up, then paint my nails. Never learned to raise my hand, was too busy raising hell. Everything I know I am, you should go and save yourself. Thought you had my number, huh? Congratulations, played yourself. Underground utopia, dynasties in dystopia. Fear is never an option, so dying is not a real phobia. I'm beating the odds, rising to every occasion. That's never defeated the gods. Switch up the mind, nothing but champions coming. I'm rolling on one of those squad. Hold still, boy, like back then. Talk back till I snap back. This ain't brown, this that dark black. This that pitch black, jet black. Snap your ex, watch me give them flashbacks. Pressure's rising fast as lightning, they can't stop it now. If you ain't talking realness, then just change the topic now. They laughing at the top like they can't see the bottom. And they thought I needed help, but I got hit without them. I am sharper than a pack of 100 razor blades. When the smoke clears out of here, but they name gon' fade. I'ma be here doing it my way. They said I should change it up, but what did I say?
Ooh, yeah, he mad. I'm racking up white diamonds. Throw me in the sky, you would swear the sun shining. Ooh, yeah, he mad. I'm racking up white diamonds. Throw me in the sky, you would
get that magic all on me, I feel like I'm Tracy McGrady. Enemy circle around me 360, I count them 180. I've been equipped with the spirit beside me since I was a baby, just getting chaotic. I made me a product for causing the chaos right here when they run this Gothic underground city. We all sin. If I bring a couple rounds with me, then we all win. I came back and brought the crown with me. The king's king. Break your nexus and your neck, cause everybody's on your head.
Ooh, yeah, he mad, I'm racking up white diamonds. Throw me in the sky, you would swear the sun shining. Ooh, yeah, he mad, I'm racking up white diamonds. Throw me in the sky, you would swear the sun shining.
Welcome back, everybody, here for Game 2 of our Grand Final series between Dorado Gaming Gamma and Bing Chillers Hard Hat here in the Victorious Rivals series. First game 1 was a little bit of a quick one, a little bit of a, Dorado just using an early game pick comp to just run over this late game scaling comp that had 3 losing lanes and no way to actually find late game. So they just got ran over. So we're gonna see what adaptations Bing Chillers Baba. Huh? What do they know that we don't? Is Dorado already trolling? Are they already throwing a
One for
game
the
away
ban?
with
One for
the
the ban?
Nasus ban? What do they know that we don't? That's what I have to know. And there goes Milio. Very
Yeah.
unfortunate
Yeah.
for the Milio fans, but good. Get rid of that awful champion.
Awful in the sense of it just warped the game,
Yeah,
right? Not
just
awful as in like a
busted.
bad
Busted.
champion. Yeah.
Busted
Horribly busted. We saw the power of it in game 1. Bing Chilling will only make that mistake once, but because you gotta ban the Milio away, you have to take one of the bans from game 1 away, and so Volibear gets let through the cracks, and Dolce will completely take that champion. And you already know how I feel about Volibear, Becky. Dolce does a fantastic job in the champion. I just don't personally think Volibear is that good of a jungler. I still don't think it's that good. But Dolce makes it work, man, and he was really, really proficient on it. And at this level, you just take what you're good at, right? You don't really worry about what's, insanely broken unless it's like Milio levels of broken. As the Lucian Nami comes in for Bing Chilling, they're throwing the gauntlet. Becky, they're saying, I don't want to play scaling anymore. I want to play lane domination.
Yeah, they felt that even though theoretically Varus and Karma should have been able to win that lane, it just did not pan out for them. And they had decided, you know what? We want to actually do something this game. It may be patch 13.11, but we still believe in Lucian Nami as the true bot lane pairing.
Aphelios Lulu.
Yeah, Aphelios Lulu. Everybody stay seated. I know this is really exciting to see Aphelios Lulu, but
shocked. I am shocked.
I'm on the floor right now, as you can see. That said, Jarvan. So we're sort of trading spaces here. Dorado going for some maybe a little bit speccing more into a late game team fight, where Bing Chillers is looking for a bit more early aggro. We'll see if they keep that going, or if they'll sort of try and even out their compositions as the draft develops.
So if you're Bing Chilling and you lose on the late game comp, then you draft early game, you lose on the early game comp, what do you do at that point, right? Like, this is, as of right now, it's reversal, as we do see the Akali and Urgot banned away, trauma bans coming in.
Yeah.
We've
banned 4 of the 5 champions we lost to in game 1. That is what we call good drafting, all right?
That's
you
trauma.
You lose to champions, you get rid of them. That's called smart gameplay. I think the Urgot ban in general is just good. Maybe the Akali's a bit funky with the champions that are already on the table for Dorado. And yeah, we have traded spaces here. Dorado have picked themselves up Lux and Ornn, and now Bing Chillers are in the position to get top lane counter pick.
Wow. Oh, a lot of AP top laners being rotated at the moment. Rumble Jarvan, a very old school combo, right? The Cataclysm into the Meatball Marinara, as I like to call it, is what happens here. Unfortunately, they're not going to go Rumble. They are instead going to go for the Fiora into Ornn matchup. Classic matchup. You pick a very high scaling top laner into a high scaling tank. Fiora will almost always have priority in that side lane. She's going to be a split push menace. There's not a lot Ornn can do unless the Fiora like massively misplays, because all of the CC is very telegraphed, right? So if he throws down the column, the pillar, he charges in for the headbutt, Fiora can just riposte, get the stun off, get the proc off. Literally everything about Fiora counters Ornn in the sense of the in-lane matchup. So it'll be really, really difficult potentially for Ice Spice to get a solo kill here. Wilder things have happened though, Becky, and I completely expect Ice Spice to get a solo kill on the Ornn into Fiora.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of optimism here for Ice Spice on the Ornn here. I know Ornn is the best champion in the video game and the best assassin tank that we have, but still, it is very, very interesting here. Uh, that said, looking at these two compositions right now, we have something a little bit more interesting for the side of Bing Chillers this game, while Dorado have assembled something a little bit more standard in terms of this kind of two-threat composition with the Lux and the Aphelios, maybe even one threat, depending on how much stock you put into Lux being able to one-shot people. She does have some good targets to one-shot this game, undeniably. So, it's kind of, swapping a little bit of styles here. So I'm interested in seeing I'm interested in your take. Which comp are you favoring in this game?
If I didn't see last game, right? Let's say the memory wipe machine came in, the Men in Black button, right? Wiped my memory. I'm looking at these two teams pretty evenly. I like that. Bing Chilling has drafted themselves some pretty solid early game, especially around that bot side. You can start working towards that dragon win con that Dorado Gaming did last game, right? You start stacking the dragons early. You force Dorado to kind of try to fight when they don't want to fight, especially with the Lulu Aphelios lane, right? You've got the Victor scaling in the mid. Fiora Ornn. Fiora should win that matchup or should have priority pretty much throughout the whole game here. So I like Bing Chilling's composition. But because I saw last game, I think Dorado, especially with Dolce on the Volibear, I had my doubts last week. I don't think it's a good champion, but Dolce just makes it work. He's very, very proactive on that champion. He always
Mm-hmm.
seems to find an angle and always seems to find an engage. And he'll have a field day ganking the Victor, right? The amount of follow-up and burst from this Lux, like you mentioned, is catastrophic. And if she can get going, if they can get her fed, they can really start controlling the space around objectives, right? You get caught with a binding plus final spark, you're dead. If you're Nami, if you're Victor, if you're Lucian, hell, if you're in Fiora, you are either dead or nearly 90% of your HP is gone here. So they're going to
Mm-hmm.
have a really good time. I think Aphelios Lulu, this is just a standard. We scale, we play, as long as you don't lose too hard, as long as you don't
Hello, everybody, and welcome back here on the Rift for Game 2 of our series between Dorado Gaming Gamma and Bing Chiller's Hard Hat. Once again, Becky Rita, that is me, Chibi, that is he, and here we are on the Rift.
And me.
Yeah.
You know?
And we have a
You-
five-man stack here for
Goodbye.
Bing Chillers as they might be looking to aggress on the Ice Spices, getting a little bit of damage right now. The flag is going to drop down for moral support. The pillar will slow down, but Bennett's still going to keep aggressing right here. Is in auto attack range, but there's just not enough damage, and Ice Spices stays cool as a cucumber and walks away without burning flash.
Yeah, just tank things. I mean, he's gives up vision on his blue buff or on Dorado's blue buff, but Carino and Griffin doing a good job getting the vision down onto the enemy blue buff. And it actually gets cleared here, but I think Dolce is just going to start the blue buff. He doesn't have time to hightail it down to his red buff after clearing it with the sweeper here.
Yeah.
So going to be playing for that bot side here. That's fair. I wouldn't play towards an Ornn lane if I was jungling. Dolce gonna be looking to probably impact either the Victor lane or the Lucian Nami, which will, in theory, be pushed up if they play super aggressive. If they try to use that early, E proc into the dash, right? Once they hit level 2, they can really start putting the pedal to the metal into this bot lane. But Dolce pathing bot, and Guster is gonna be pathing top for his Fiora here. I want to see Guster do a little bit more in this early game. He had 0 impact on the Maokai. I'm hoping that the same thing doesn't happen because Jarvan, unfortunately, is an ult bot if he doesn't get going in the early game.
Yeah, Jarvan needs to get that early game pressure and those early kills to actually have damage output, especially, you know, as he does not have, you know, the Giga Chad first strike. He actually has a good keystone, so he's going to be looking to do what he can this game and actually try and get some impact on the map. However, he did get spotted out on his blue, spotted out going buff to buff here, just potentially looking for an early gank on the bot, but the vision just checks him out, and now Volibear knows that he has plenty of time to just keep whacking those jungle minions and safely farm here, and Jarvan's kind of in an awkward spot because his clear is very much funky now.
Yeah, he's just playing with himself. Beck, it's all he's really doing right now. He clears the buffs, walked bot lane, got spotted on a ward, tried to walk try. Bot lane wasn't giving himself anything, and he just walks back into his jungle. Wastes a monumental amount of time. All the meanwhile, Dolce is just going to be farming his camps, getting that camp lead, rotating his camps quicker as they will roam up potentially for this crab. So,
Okay.
hey, you got Scuttle.
Yeah, Scuttle looks like it will be secured here. Dulce will get spotted on the Tribush ward. So J4 knows that the Volibear is here, has to make a decision on whether or not they want to stick down here and look for responding to a potential gank, or whether they want to move up to the top side here. It looks like they will do a little bit of both, as Inferno will just drop a bubble here, get a couple of gold procs on the Nami. So yeah, both these junglers here just getting found by wards. Their early attempts getting squandered, but in the end, it actually ends up better for Volibear because the J4 still has camps to clear and is a little bit behind.
Yeah, he's going to be rotating those higher level camps for himself.
But double crab.
Double crab,
Double
double
crab.
crab. But rotating the camps, we might even see a slight level lead come out from the Volibear once the second rotation of camps come out, even when the buffs happen. He might hit level 6 before Guster here, as Bennett is taking quite a bit of damage.
Yeah.
Guster Posey.
Yeah, Guster going to be walking in, trying to get the flag and drag, but Spices will dodge, waiting until he gets a good angle to flash away and dash away from the assault here. No sums blown by Bing Chillers, so in the end, that was a rather, I guess, an appropriately successful gang. In the bot side, there's a little bit of a trade here as the Gravitum will tick away, but still get the root back onto King Civil, and Dolce's in a little bit of a precarious spot on the top side here as Guster is just going to try and collect those little little golems to get themselves some gold, but Carino's going to walk into the prison, and he is being a prison of the mind right now as Inferno is picking that one up. Now King Civil just trying to get that damage down here, does have the boosted autos, will dash in, will finish off Griffin, and that turret forgets that there is a Lucian even in the video game as targeting disappears, and that is a double kill for Lucian Nami.
Yeah, nice 2v2 kill, Inferno and King Civil, showing why they picked up the Lucian Nami lane, showing the aggressiveness. Really good bubble, trapping Carino, but also, Carino didn't flash it. I don't even think he thought he was going to get hit by it. At the edge of that bubble, ended up snagging the back of his foot, and so he just pays with his life. All the summoners go down. Carino does have flash available, but so does Inferno, so they could look for a flash for flash trade if Guster Posey comes down into this bot lane. But so far, Bing Chilling using that Lucian Nami to its effectiveness, as now Bennett is taking a lot of damage for no reason.
You were talking about the Ornn solo kill. We'll see if it comes through. The vitals are down. The grand challenge has been issued, but as you predicted, Shibby Stradamus right here predicted the Ornn solo kill, and as it always comes through, Mage, Death Knight, Paladin, Bruiser, Wizard, Warlock, Assassin, Ornn will drop the hammer on to the Fiora and win the solo bolo.
Bennett just not pressing his buttons, right? He's just taking a boatload of damage, not using the riposte on the R2 of the Ornn ultimate. They are also going to lose the dragon in the bot lane. So that's what we were talking about. Lucian Nami needs to have the priority to take the dragon, but unfortunately they lose that as well. So DOGG have slowed the game down just by about 5 minutes, which allows their bot lane to scale, which allows their mid lane to get some items. And that's really, really good. And that solo kill in the top lane as well has slowed the pace of the game down. Bennett, you picked the Fiora into the tank. You picked a matchup that you like, but you're just not playing it correctly, brother.
Yeah, this is supposed to be a good matchup for the Fiora, but Ornn, his poking tools, he's playing this lane as expertly as possible, keeping the Fiora at an arm's reach, playing around those vitals really well, getting all of those flame breaths that are just doing so much chip damage over the course of the lane, and Carino is going to be taking quite a lot of burst damage down here from King Civil and Inferno. And yeah, I'm actually curious. Ornn is in fact leveling the Bellows Breath first over the Q. I guess it's probably not too unusual, but those flame breaths are coming in so clutch in this laning, just doing so much for him. As Dulce waiting in the wings right here, maybe looking for a potential gank as King Civil and Inferno push up. There is vision and try, so he will get seen, but will he get seen too late? I am unsure, as they are sticking around, not looking to recall. J4's on top side, but not a whole lot to do.
Yeah, you see Bennett, right? He's just like dashing, and the moment he dashes, Ice Spice is throwing the Q down. If he dashes in, he throws, like you said, the Bell's Breath down. Bennett's just bored. Like, he's just like using his abilities kind of errantly, and you look, he's not using it to dash out of the Bell's Breath. He's not using it to dodge the Q. He's kind of just hanging around, taking so much damage, and eventually he's going to get into kill range.
Yeah, the Ornn combo is very dangerous, and Fiora only has one riposte to keep her safe. It is a very good ability, but you can only riposte so much on that champion. I will say Guster has found an opportunity to go for this first Herald, will be picking that up for themselves, and now has the option of giving Fiora a little bit more assistance on this top lane, or getting a little bit of extra gold into the pocket of Watercat. Dulce, noticing that he has an opportunity, will be going into just clearing the bot side jungle, as the game still, while there are more kills, as in, I guess, in the minute of this game, I don't remember how long it took for us to get 8 kills last game, but it's still, at least right now, a little bit on the slow side as these teams are waiting for the, I guess, the cracks to form and be exploited.
We're just waiting for the mythics, right? We're waiting for that 10 to 12 minute mark as Carino, potentially.
Carino is going to get locked up right now, but King Civil is going to be in a little bit of an interesting spot right now. Had to dash forward to try and trade, but Dulce gets the turret denial on to, Ohm wrecking that turret with the ultimate there. And now
Oh.
Sluter will just be picking up a solo kill
Flash.
onto the Victor in the mid lane.
We
Get
have Flash.
obliterated. Flash still up. Watercat learned all the wrong lessons playing against Frozen forever, not using that Flash to dodge, and just staying, anything. Not using Flash to dodge anything in the mid lane here. Just more kills getting picked up by the side of Dorado, as they are very much not going to complain about that.
Not at all. And an errant riposte as well. And you use it, and now the Ornn combo comes in. Is he going to get the combo going?
He gets the
Ornn
combo down. That's a lot of damage right now, but the Grand Challenge has been issued, and Ornn is out of mana right now. He is still going to be safe under his turret, though, and with that Radiant Virtue, he is not afraid of the Fiora, who is still mythicless and maidenless here in top lane. Just really struggling on this champ.
I don't know Bennett like that. Maybe he does have he or she or they have a Bennett.
Just roast. Just unwarranted.
Just flaming him or them across the board here. But like you said, mythicless Fiora doesn't have the Divine Sunderer just yet, so isn't going to be able to get that really, really massive damage onto tanks. Like you said, Radiant Virtue picked up for Ornn as well. And so far, a quiet game is a good game for DOGG, right? Lux picks up a kill, Aphelios picks up a kill, you're up in CS, you're getting turret plates, you're doing this, you're doing that. As long as you're relatively even in gold, eventually the Ornn, the Aphelios, they're just going to outvalue the rest of your team. The scaling components on the side of Bing Chilling is the Fiora and the Victor, but it's going to be really hard to fight into something like an Aphelios, like an Ornn with the ornaments who give so much gold value with those items, and especially into Sluter's Lux, who has just been doing a really good job zoning out any sort of engage.
Yeah, the chem plants bloom here as the Ocean Drake is picked up by Bing Chillers, their first Drake of the series, and Sluter could be in a little bit of danger, but they aren't too afraid as Dulce is here to dissuade the assault. No abilities blown by either side there, just a little bit of damage traded on to the opposing junglers. As now Bennett is still in a really tough spot in top lane, still does not have the Sunderer that they really need to start making this lane their own, and Ornn just still being fine up here, hasn't even needed to opt into that early Tab Eyes or the early Bramble that you usually see into Fiora, because honestly, just doesn't need it.
Yeah, he's been completely fine in the lane. And I think we did get a visual bug. Riot Games still has not patched in the Chemtech symbol, so I think it's actually Chemtech Soul.
Yes, it is Chemtech.
On the Rift right now, you will be seeing an ocean dragon icon, unfortunately. But
yeah, maybe. I'm unsure.
Like,
it shows the right symbol for me. The first ocean was the second Drake of the game. But none of that matters here. What matters is that Inferno could be in a little bit of danger right now, but Guster is around here. It's 4v5 though in favor of Dorado as Torino crashing the Moonlight Vigil down onto the Nami, as now Nami is going to be running for the hills right here. Sluter flashing to just pick that one up with a pulse of light, but the Herald will crash into the bot lane, getting a little bit of gold into the pocket of Lucian and Guster, but that is gold traded for the life of your support, who is very much not thrilled about the situation. It is now 2v3 down here, but we do have another 1v1 in top side. But that Ornn ultimate's gonna go wide. The Ornn combo is not perfect. And now in this fight, we do have the Bramble picked up. Ornn still healthy. Ornn still alive, but on the bot side, Carino's going to get locked in the Cataclysm, but whose Cataclysm is it anyways? It is not Carino's, as they will go down, but in the mid lane, a laser blows through the laser man himself. That is a Fisher-Price laser getting obliterated by a good old-fashioned magic laser from Lux in the mid lane.
I just want to highlight that Ice Spice on the Ornn. If you saw what he was doing, the last Fiora mark was on his right side of his champion, so he hugged the wall so that Fiora couldn't get that proc off. Very, very smart from the Ornn here, as kills get traded back and forth in the bot lane and the mid lane. Lucian Nami will pick up that first turret, will use that lane pressure, but I just want to highlight, like, Ice Spice played that pretty well. Just to survive, especially into the Fiora, who we thought would have had that kill there.
Yeah, Fiora is at least doing better in these 1v1s. So now that she has the Divine Sunder, it is going to be pretty difficult for the Ornn to actually win them. And now Sluter maybe backing a little bit in an awkward spot. Not on Vision, but actually no. Yeah, backing on Vision right there. There is a ward. Congratulations, you've won the prize. You have lost your brain check. And Sluter will get punished for that.
Yeah, it wasn't directly in the bush. They just saw Sluter walk through the vision and eventually just were like, hey, he's might be in the bush here. Let's check. We have the damage, and unfortunately, Sluter gives his life away. But even after everything that's transpired, even after the proactiveness from Bing Chiling at the 16-minute mark, they're only up about a 1.5k gold, which isn't enough for me to confidently say that they can close this game out, especially with the likes of the Aphelios, with the Ornn still scaling, still getting to that point, and the dragon stacking has stopped here, right? It's not going to be till 30 minutes till one of these teams starts to potentially work towards a dragon soul. So it's going to be a while before, you know, Bing Chiling can kind of look to close this game out unless they get a really big team fight win or they get a really nice engage and they can pick up a Baron after.
Yeah, Guster getting his Crab Rangoon taken away from him by an angry bear. I guess it's a Canadian experience. I don't know. I'm not Canadian. I can't speak to that. That said, here in the game right now, Herald is up. Next Drake is up in 15 seconds, and it looks, at least for right now, that Bing Chillers is in a better spot for it, as Dulce is on the top side, maybe deciding to prioritize that second Herald over second Drake. Because, you know, they have time, the pressure's not on them, and now we're going to see what could be, what should have been a 1v1, but now Dulce has arrived, and Bennett is now realizing this is not a fair fight. This has never been a fair fight, and they're going to just try and heal up as much as possible in the Grand Challenge Aura. They flash and dodge away, but they cannot run away from Bali Bear, who will just slam them into the dirt, as Bennett will get taken down once again, and this Herald will be next on their kill list. But the second Drake will indeed be going over to Bing Chillers.
Yeah, Bennett unfortunately took the 1v1 and eventually turned into 1v2 and couldn't turn that around. He's not at that point on the Fiora just yet, and it's going to be a while till he can get there. As the Rift Herald, like you said, gets taken down. They trade the dragon, though. So Bing Chiling, with the pressure that was, I guess, absorbed by Bennett in that top side. I'm going to be generous with that word. You know, you get the dragon. You trade your Fiora for a dragon. It's Chemtech here, so you start working towards potentially a 26 to 27 minute Chemtech soul if you can keep those going. But right now, I mean, DOGG, they're completely fine giving up that dragon. They're going to let their bot lane skill. They're going to get Ornn some more items. They're going to get Dolce that Rift Herald. So if they win another fight, potentially, or they win a 4v4 or a 5v5, they can throw that down and pick up some turrets in the mid lane, potentially pick up in the bot lane. Tier 1 turrets are standing across the board for Bing Chiling, ready to be taken down.
Yeah, those tier 1 turrets are just sitting bags of gold on the map. All of them rather low, all of them in easy kill range for Dorado to pick up as they so please, especially as they do have this Herald. And, you know, as we always say, getting that Herald, if you don't get a turret with it, it is just a win for your opponents, so they got to make sure they get a turret with that at the very least. We see on the minimap now, for the minimap enjoyers, you see that little blue buff icon, that is on, you know, new patch mechanic here. The additional Ivern style passive buffs being given over. So Ornn, being in the right place to pick that one up for his team, is just going to make Fiora's life a little bit more miserable in this lane, as if it already wasn't. But in the mid lane, we have a little bit of an aggressive trade here as King Civil's looking for something, but Dulce is still very threatening, and they have no vision on Sluter, who reveals themselves in the jungle. And yeah, just, you know, a little bit of A-ramming going on right now as Watercat sits in bot lane farming, and this top lane 1v1 continues on from now until the end of time.
Even after the game ends, these two champions will be duking it out in the top lane. But like you said, we've gone to a bit of a lull point, right? Dragon's not coming up in 2.5 minutes. Baron is up, but no team is far enough ahead to confidently start it. And so if you're Carino, if you're Ice Spice, you're taking this and you're saying, oh, perfect. I like the lull state. Equally, though, on Bing Chilling side, if you're Fiora, if you're Victor, who's dutifully pushing the side lanes, you are more than happy. It just feels really bad for the Lucian and the Lux here, who kind of have to try to make things happen differently so, right? Sluter has to land some abilities. As we saw, the cleanse actually get used by King Civil once he got caught by the root here. As the mid lane turret is finally going down, and they're going to pop the Rift Guard as well. 4v3 right now. Victor is caught in the bot lane.
Yeah, Victor's in the bot lane here, and that is a Herald that will almost certainly get a crash onto the mid lane turret, and that is a lot of damage right here. That is absolutely worthwhile for the side of Dorado here. If they can get this turret, it will 100% be worthwhile, and that Lux, big blast from the E, the Lucent Singularity, is good enough to just make things really miserable. And oh my goodness gracious, the double roots coming in from the light binding, as now Dulce will shut the turret down and try and get a little more damage on the backside as Sluter's flashing forward, but has no mana in their pocket. They weren't watching the blue bar below their HP bar, they just thought it was infinite, but no sir, no buddy, it is not, as they will get all right. Yeah, my train of thought got interrupted when I perused at Watercat's items. Don't look at them. Do not observe.
So I have.
All right, break it down for me. Should be break it down for me.
So it's not the craziest thing in the world. We have been seeing some mid laners, specifically I believe in Europe and LCK, building Imperial Mandate, especially on Victor. Which what happens is when he gets the upgraded W, I believe all of his abilities eventually get a slow on them. So you can theoretically proc the Imperial Mandate on all of your abilities. Okay. That's the idea, at least. And the Storm obviously can proc it on multiple targets. So that's the theory. That's the idea. It's not bad. It's pretty good in coordinated team play, specifically like this. But realistically, I would just take the Void Staff or the Death Cap. It's more utility focused.
And I'm pretty sure, those marks are individual, but we have a fight breaking out right here. King Civil's going to be the target right now, but on the backside, Guster gets a huge lock, but there's no follow-up there as Bennett on the front side having to dip away with that riposte as Ice Spices is huge. They are angry. Bennett does not have the grand challenge. Watercat is still alive, though, and Griffin will get taken down by the Lucian, who is just going to obliterate that poor little Lulu. Is now that is actually a favorable trade here for Bing Chillers, as they now look to move towards the Drake, but it is still 3 members strong and both of the carries alive for the side of Dorado. That is going to be
he wants something.
Down. The laser gets dropped. Carino, red-white, is going to fight right here. King Civil's going to get exhausted right now. Carino's going for the 1v9, 200 years, but doesn't have enough years to keep themselves alive, as King Civil will get taken down, but only on the backside of that fight there, as it still ends up rather positive for Bing Chillers, as they're going to look to start this Drake, but do they have the HP bars? Volibear is here. Lux has ulti. They could still look to keep this fight going if they want to. Dulce is going to be walking over the wall. Bennett is going to match the Volibear. Going to be dropping the Grand Challenge, using the riposte to avoid any sorts of CC, any sorts of damage here. It's going to get popped right now. There's a lot of healing going to be going down on the Bennett, but it is just not enough damage going down on the Volibear. Now Guster going over the wall, going to be locking Dulce into the cage. The laser is going to go through. The final spark is only just going to be some final lights coming in for Dulce. And oh man, the Drake is still being fought over, as Griffin is not giving this one up. Sluter TPing in, still alive, now has replenished all the resources. Bennett is out, Inferno is low, HP bars are drained, and that is going to be a final a final light binding going down as Ornn doesn't get the charge through, doesn't get the knock up, but does not really need it as the light bindings are still good. And Inferno is going to have to run away. Watercat has TP'd in now, but is TPing in on their lonesome here. I feel like we saw Victor TPs like this before. Last week, we saw some interesting mid lane TPs, and that was certainly could have been worse for them. But Dorado still has maintained pressure. They have regained pressure of the Drake. Whose Drake is it anyways? I think at this point now, Bing Chillers will realize it is futile.
Not
and will
Josh's.
give the Drake over.
That was probably the longest Drake fight I've ever seen, leashing it back and forth, back and forth. Dorado, like you said, eventually get control of it after Dolce has died twice during that whole scuffle. They eventually get it up. They're able to take that dragon, stop the dragon stacking that would have been happening for Bing Chilling here. And you just see it's really tough to kind of get through these HP bars of the Ornn, of the Volley Bear, of the shielding, of the Lux and the Lulu. It's a lot to grind through if you're on the side of Bing Chilling. And yeah, they've been able to pick up kills. The Imperial Mandate Victor has kind of been working out in their favor, been applying and giving move speed over to the Fiora, to the Lucian, who have been proccing it. But it's hard right now. It's really rough. And throughout this whole time, the gold lead has only stayed about 1.5k. As Dulce.
Dulce is going to be in a little bit of danger right now, going to get locked into the Cataclysm, but it is only Dulce in that Cataclysm right now, as in that corridor, Carino is going to be dashing in with the Gale Force, cleaning up the King Civil Lucian, who is just taken away from the fight here. It is now 2v3 around this Baron, 2v4 actually. Nobody died for the side of Dorado. Fiora is able to start aggressing, looking for the split push here, but the split push is only worth so much. Watercat doesn't have the Chaos Storm, but still can try and look for the lasers at the very least. They're going to try and buy some time for Bennett. Will they try and go for the steal? Will they attempt it? Will they think about it? The Smite will secure it. And that is just going to be a Baron going over to the side of Dorado. Some scrappy fights breaking out here, but Dorado staying on top.
Yeah, it takes so long for them to get through Dolce's life bar that eventually what happens is Carino is allowed to set up, Sluter is allowed to set up, and they've been able to realistically win these fights with a single Volley Bear tank, right? Ornn was in the previous Dragon fight, but that whole time that was Baron was happening, he was just matching the Fiora in the side lane. It could have gone even worse. As Guster.
I don't think you win that one, buddy. King Civil now could be in a little bit of danger. Going to try and get onto Griffin right now, but now Dulce is going to get the targeted once again as the Cataclysm is getting used on them, and this time it will end in their favor. But how favorable is it for them, really? Fiora on their lonesome with the Hull Breaker will keep them a little bit safer. They're just going to dip away, go to that bot lane, their safe place, their safe zone, and now it is just going to be a pick. A pick is always good. Getting one Baron off the board, you take that.
Yeah, sure, right? I mean, you got it onto Dolce, who's kind of been the sacrificial lamb in each of these fights. Burned the flash from Carino as well. So overall, Bing Chilling invested a lot, but they got some stuff in return here. Hull Breaker being built for the Fiora. She is completely committed to the side lane push now.
Yeah, Fiora is committed. Yeah, Fiora is very committed. She knows what the win con is. Now King Civil is just going to be looking to try and go in with Guster Posey. But we saw this 1v2 earlier in the game. Does Fiora have the gumption to take it in her own hands this time around as the grand challenge is issued, but it will not be completed? That is not a Legends of Runeterra win for her, as TP will get executed by Watercat onto the flag, and the fight's going to break out in the mid lane, but in the bot side, Bennett will dodge the Ornn Horn, will get some healing down, but the healing is still good from Dulce, and Ice Spice is in the mid lane. We do see Watercat pick up a kill. Oh, we have another kill picked up in the mid lane. The mid lane fight is much more interesting, but AutoCam has decided that it wanted to watch the Fiora 1v2, which lasted literally like a whole minute there as King Civil and Watercat pick up another two Barons, taking them off the board. preemptively.
Yeah, I mean, Bing Chilling have gotten to that point, right? Victor has the death cap, and we talked about potentially Bennett, hovering that rumble, getting that meatball marinara combo with the Cataclysm, but we forgot to mention Cataclysm Chaos Storm can do so much work, especially if you're a flashless Aphelios, if you're a flashless Lux. You are trapped in there with so much damage being rained down upon you, and King Civil and Guster have been really, good about comboing those abilities together and really chunking out members like Sluter, like Dolce, like Carino, and using it to its utmost effectiveness here. Smart team fight play so far for Ming Chilling. The gold has not shifted more than 2,000 in either favor. This game is really, really close.
Yeah, this game is a little bit closer than last game for sure. Much closer. The game was over 3 minutes ago if it was last game. This game, we are actually getting to some of this late game action here, whose team does it really benefit? That is a question that is going to get started. Dulce is still here. He's going to be looking for the flip. They're going to flip it. It will go over to Lucian as Dulce will smite it. Guster holds on to smite, but Lucian secures it. Just an early smite from Dulce. And now Fiora has arrived with the hole breaker for the team fight. As now Dulce is going to get cold in the front side. Guster Posey's going to get taken down, but the Oran Horns are on the backside. King Civil getting blasted with the laser.
No.
The Riposte, not good enough. Riposte, if you play Fiora, please, Bennett needs help here. Watercat is now going to walk away. They do stay alive. Fiora is still on the table and can split push, but this is 4 members strong for the side of Dorado as they start the siege.
And they've got the Lux in for the siege, right? You get hit by a Binu, you get hit by an ultimate, a final spark, it's over for you. Your tank line, that was the Jarvan, is not even there. And yeah, your Fiora is pushing bot side, but if you don't help your team, you might just lose the game right now. Bing Chilling unfortunately chased into Dorado Gaming, and they were allowed to set up. You saw Carino and Sluter both set themselves up to win the team fight. A huge final spark went across the team of BCHH, as well as Carino virtually went untouched there. Really, really good play, baiting Bing Chilling a little bit and trying to force them into a fight. They get the mid lane inhibitor. Yes, they lose the dragon, and that's unfortunate that they might have to give potentially a Chemtech soul away in 3.5 minutes, but you get so much more with that inhibitor, with those kills, stopping out a lot of that split push pressure from Bennett as well. You're stopping their win con.
Yeah, at this point in the game, Fiora is just looking to be that split push threat, but with the super minions crashing down in the mid lane, her threat is so much less powerful. It's so much more diminished here in the game, but she still will look to apply it. Baron is up. They are going to ping that inhibitor. Their goal has been set. Ornn does have the TP. Bennett does not. Yeah, Ornn, just looking at this right now, Ornn has TP, Bennett does not, and Bennett has no ability to stop Ornn from TPing except killing him, which is going to be pretty difficult, all things considered. So very much, if Ice Spice wants to leave, he can leave at any time. He is not obligated to be down here in the matchup with Fiora. But man, Fiora, okay, never mind. I lied. I was lying. Fiora can in fact kill you if you are not careful. And she will look to kill this turret, and Recall's gonna get popped.
Guys?
Wait a second. Wait, guys.
Bennett.
Bennett's
oh,
we just killed the turret. Oh, good. Yeah. So that's going to now be a 3v4 here. Both TPs are up for Dorado, but they're going to be a little late on this fight. As now Guster's going to get on the backside. The Cataclysm is going to get popped.
Watch Dolce, he's dead.
Dolson is going to get shredded on the front side, and that is just going to be Griffin going to as well. That could be a turn onto the Baron as Bennett is still sitting in base. They have to take a fight here. They have to do something. They have to make a decision, but they are getting clapped on both sides. They are getting brain checked and they are losing. Watercat will get obliterated by Lux. The final spark will be Victor's final sight. Here, the riposte is good, dodges out the CC from both of these threats right here. The root's going to come out from Carino. The Gale Force will go forward, but
Bennett
not a whole lot else. Now Bennett's going to try and turn this around. Will get exhausted right here and will get potentially... Oh my god, the grand challenge! That is the lore win condition we've been waiting for. Now Bennett's going to clap up the Ornn right now! Oh my goodness! Never mind, Fiora was the win con the whole time, baby! Always believed!
Bennett is in my base. Bennett is in my room, guys. Help! Bennett is back there.
Guys,
My
someone get this
kitchen.
Fiora off of me! I can't escape! Where the Fiora's she's still alive! She is unkillable, unwavering! It takes 3 members to kill her, and she's still not dead! King Civil's gonna be walking into this fight, wandering into the burst damage, as now the TP is gonna come in from Watercat. Fiora has TP as well, and with the Baron buff, this could be sort of the end of the game right here if they decide to end it. Carino, 4 seconds left. Ice Spice has got 17. Here comes the tidal wave. It's not going to hit anyone, but it does not need to. As Sluter gets taken down, the Chaos Storm goes. And it's going to be an inhibitor bursted down as Bing Chiller's hard hat clapped back.
Bennett heard you talking smack. Bennett heard it through the stream. Bennett said, "Let me put the game on my back." 46,000 damage, has the most structures taken, the win con, the Fiora. Like we mentioned, if it gets late enough, she can simply control the rest of the game. And you saw she 1v2'd. Dorado Gaming started the Baron as a 3v4, which was ill-advised, I would say. They lost that as well. Just an absolute mental collapse from Dorado Gaming. And now it's 1-1. Bennett boy, man. Just Bennett. It's not Bing chilling hard hats. It's Bennett chilling hard hats.
Yeah, Fiora is just a fantastic champion. It turns out when you get solo boloed by Ornn 3 times, it doesn't even matter because you're still Fiora. You just still have all of those buttons that make this champion so insane right here. And we get to see a little bit of, going for that alternate win condition of the Fiora split push. That alternate little bit of threat was all they really needed to split up Dorado. And once you split up this team fight comp, it gets so much easier for Bing Chillers to actually take it. Because, all they need to do is they need to click the Shurelia's button once they realize they have the numbers advantage. And then you lose the fight. It is the way that Bing Chillers, like, they were a little sloppy in the earlier stages of the game, but in those final sort of 7 to to the end of the game, those last 7 minutes, they were playing so intelligently. They were playing around everything they had, and they utilized their different pieces so effectively and so much better than Dorado was able to.
Yeah, and that Cataclysm Chaos Storm combo was just so devastating, right? We kind of saw the difference of champions, specifically the jungle ones. Like, credit to Dolce, he did a really good job in the early game, tried to get things going, tried to do stuff, was out pacing Jarvan with camps, but it's just Volibear. It's just Volibear.
What does he do, man? What is Volibear doing, man? He's just a big guy.
He's just a big meatball. He gets bursted out. If you're a Jarvan, you can flash Cataclysm, EQ out. You can combo with your Victor. You can do so much more. You have so much more mobility. Whereas Volibear is just kind of a one-dimensional champion. And really, if you don't have your ultimate up, if you don't have your Q up, if you don't get the stun off, you're not really doing too much. And he was just getting meltified every single time. And, that Lux pick was very, very good into the Victor. Solid at getting picks, but I think it just kind of unfortunately wasn't enough, and especially Bennett on that Fiora literally 1v9 that game. But like you said, Bing Chilling played a very solid last 5 to 7 minutes of League of Legends, using the fact that they've scaled, using the Victor, using the Fiora. Very, very smart play from them, and that got them the win.
Yeah, win secured, and that's all that really matters. How you get there, at the end of the day, it's all just window dressing. What matters is you got the win, you tied up the series. We are 1-1 right here in our finals here. We've got a series on our hands, folks. It is not a sweep, so we'll have to see. If Dorado has their answer here, they have side select. What are they going to do with it? How are they going to utilize it to their advantage? And how will Bing Chillers look to adapt in this game now that they likely won't be able to play the same strategy as they did in game 2? So we'll see how the drafts continue to develop here in this grand final series after we come back from our break. So stick around. It's gonna be great if this game was any indication, at least.
I love to do just what I want. Do it when you say I won't. And come and watch me move it. I promise I'ma make you lose it. Looking at me, now come get it. Like what you see, then you got good vision. Boy, this beat hits so different. Let me show you what you've been missing. If you love the body, then the body's in the place. Got the boom, got the bass. I'ma shake it in your face. Yeah, love the body and I love to make a break. Got the boom, got the bang. You can take that to the bank. Going dumb, dee dum dum dum, dee dum dum dum, dee dum dum dum. Watch the drum go dumb, dee dum dum dum, dee dum dum dum, dee dum dum dum. Watch the drum go dumb. I just wanna be free. Ain't no way you stopping me. Said I wanted to fly, so I went and got some wings. And I don't need you to act like you gon' hold me down, 'cause I won't believe you. No one can touch me now. Feeling like a bullet, took my pulse over 100. Gonna peak, I gonna summit. I'm the average that I'm summit. That's the sun up from pressing down, shining like the sun now. Think of mirror image, but you're looking like a funnel. Looking at me, now come get it. Like what you see, then you got good vision. Boy, this beat hits so different. Let me show you what you've been missing. If you look the body, then the body's in the place. Get the boom, get the bass. I'ma shake it in your face. Yeah, I love the body and I love to make it ring. Get the boom, get the bang. You can take it to the bank. Going dumb, dee dum dum dum, dee dum dum dum, dee dum dum dum. Watch the drum go dumb, dee dum dum dum, dee dum dum dum, dee dum dum dum. Watch the drum go dumb. Going yeah, going down, dirty dum dum dum, 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 dirty dum dum dum. Yeah, watch the drum go bang, 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 boom, bang, 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 boom, bang, 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 boom, bang, bang. Dum dum dum. I just wanna be free. Ain't no way you stopping me. Said I wanted to fly, so I went and got some wings. And I don't need you to act like you gon' hold me down, 'cause I won't believe you. No one can touch me now. Watch the drum go dumb. Watch the drum go dumb. The night beckons while you dream. A life never lives in peace. As you stand upon the edge, woven by a single thread, and fate may fall down upon you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our grand final series between Bing Chiller's Hard Hat and Dorado Gaming Gamma. We have swapped sides. Once again, Dorado have taken the red side, as they did in Game 1. So now Bing Chillers are on the blue side, going to figure out what they can do here, and they decide once again to ban the Milio. They are not interested in playing that champion, so they intelligently ban it away, and they're actually keeping their game plan pretty similar to the first game, or the second game in terms of their bans. Meanwhile, Dorado, so far staying pretty similar. We'll see if they ban the Nasus once again. I don't know what they were seeing, but they have decided to get rid of Fiora. They do not want to see this champion. They aren't even waiting till round 2 to get rid of it. They are just taking it off the table now.
Yeah, I mean, Bennett 1v9'd on it eventually, right? We pretty much predicted what would happen. Fiora ends up controlling that side lane, controlling a lot of that pressure. Once you send more than one person to stop that, that's where you lose control. The Baron, the Dragons, all the objectives, everything like that, and the game can kind of get disassembled very, very quickly. But Bing Chilling, this time around, once again on blue side, will take their jungler. Not in the form of Maokai, although it would have been okay here since the Milio was banned, but instead they will take the Wukong, which is still a pretty damn good jungle pick. Sheen Crushing Blows is very, very strong. It can half health an ADC, but as Dorado Gaming, I don't know if they're tuned into the cast, I don't know what's happening, but they'll end up taking the Maokai for themselves here, right into the Wukong. So we're going back. You know, the game hasn't evolved too much, guys. The meta is still, I guess, Wukong, Maokai. Yeah,
if you close your eyes, it almost feels like nothing's changed at all. We have Maokai and Wukong here in the jungle. Guster Posey loves this Wukong champion, has played it very frequently during this entire season, in fact, and found a lot of its success on the champ as well. So not too surprising to see that. We're going to see a run back of Lucian, Nami, King, Civil, and Inferno feeling good about themselves into this play matchup as they respond to the Aphelios with that. So,
Janna would be pretty good here, be pretty based. Right?
Nope, Lulu.
Instead,
bench. Everyone go to, Scrams, our producer, looking to go to bed early. Don't worry, we have Aphelios Lulu. Put you to sleep, folks.
Back it up. I'm going to bed. I'm going to go to sleep. I don't want to see this lane again. It's the more things change, the more things stay the same.
My office right here is right next to my bed, so I could actually just go to sleep right now. You know, it's just functionally nothing will change.
Bring out the Ambien. Give me the Ambien.
Right
now. As Lux being banned away from Bing Chilling, they didn't like that matchup into the Victor. They said, you know what, we're gonna take that away. Dorado Gaming taking the auction away. I suspect they're going to keep their bans relatively the same across the board. They don't want to see any of these, I'm not going to say one tricks, but like specialties from each of these guys coming out here. Dorado Gaming, though, do have the top lane counter pick available once again. And in so far, in both games, red side has won. So it might just be a red side diff.
Yeah, red side is, you know, in my opinion, I really like being on red side. I like sort of the options you get in terms of draft, even though, you know, arguably the map is a little disadvantageous for you. I think having, you know, guaranteed counter pick, R3 is really strong, R5 is really strong in terms of potential draft options. So I think that red is just like really solid if you have a good draft plan. In this game, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like going to bed. We have Ahri here in the mid lane for Dorado. It could still get exciting. You know, we still have a top lane pick.
Please lock it in.
Ziggs. Do not.
Please. No. Yes. Do it.
This is my request.
Please. Do it, and I'll throw the Benadryl away right now.
Benadryl's in the toilet. We're picking Ziggs. I'm soy pogging. Oh boy. Yeah, that is Ziggs. That's not a champion you see super often, but honestly,
not even a real champion.
He's kind of funky. He's kind of interesting. I don't even think he's really that good into Ahri, but Bing Chillers must have a plan with the Ziggs pick, maybe looking to utilize it similarly to the Victor as they did last game. And no, ain't no way. Oh my god, it's him. Oh my god, it's Garen.
That is a 450 Blue Essence champion being slammed down onto the Rift. A Season 1 champion, Garen, coming into the fold. Ziggs and Garen for Bing Chilling. They are trying to be as weird as possible. They're telling Dorado, get weird or get out, as these two champions get locked in. And I want to see what they take in return. The Mordekaiser that was hovered last game is finally being taken here. So Mordekaiser in the top lane into the Garen can isolate him in these situations, can take the jungler away as well, is really, really good in the side lane. But I do want to talk about the Ziggs pick because as much as I meme it's not a champion and stuff like that, classically what you would pick into the Aphelios. One of the things that you could do is you could outrange him, right? When it comes to these kind of mid to late game team fights. The champion that used to be able to do that and can still can to a degree, but it's not as good anymore, is the Azir. We used to consistently see the Azir being picked into the Aphelios as a kind of long range zoning option.
Mhm.
Similarly, the Ziggs as a poke mage can do the same thing, right? If enough poke lands, obviously with the blue buffs as well, there's going to be more blue buffs on the board ready for him to be taking as well. You can poke out a composition like the Ari, like the Aphelios, like the Maokai, as long as you can keep him safe, which quite honestly, Nami has been doing very, very well. Inferno on this Nami had some very good tidal waves to disengage some of these team fights. So as long as Ziggs can kind of stay out of the heat, right? Out of the kitchen and can just throw bombs from across the map. Has a lot of good synergy with the Wukong, right? You get that Wukong engage, you throw the bomb over the head, and eventually you'll be able to burst out somebody like the Aphelios, like the Lulu, like the Ari if they don't want to use their dash. So, not a horrible pick, but in lane, like you said, it's gonna be rough. Ari has a lot of kill pressure, especially
Mhm.
with the Maokai. So I want to see how they're gonna navigate this laning phase. But if they can get out of it, if they can get to this mid game with potentially Leandries or Ludens plus an item here, they can start putting in work.
It's interesting that you mentioned Azir because he did get some not insignificant buffs on this patch, with Q getting reduced in the early game and W getting a little bit of extra range and damage as well, at least in terms of scaling. So it's like there's a little bit of a little bit of improvement there for the Azir, but instead we still feel that the Ziggs is the superior champion on the patch. So wahoo, bing bing wahoo. Uh, I'm interested in seeing what the Ziggs will do in this game. But I think more than anything, I'm very interested in what this Garen is going to do. Not a whole. I don't know. Maybe admin is in chat with the ability to post emotes. There we do have a Garen spin emote for Victorious subscribers. So if you ever wanted an excuse to use a Twitch Prime for Garen spin emote, this is the game to start spinning. Uh, Garen is kind of a bad champion, and I think that he is going to be miserable this game. So I don't know what your take on that is. I don't think he's having a good game. I don't think he's gonna have fun at all. But we'll see.
I think the one thing to note, if you're looking at Dorado's team composition, is that there is a hyper index in magic damage, right? So you get a lot of Merc Treads value if you're Garen. You might end up even going to QSS if you really want to, right? You can build it into a Silver Mirror Dawn if you're feeling kind of cool, or you can build it into the Mercurial Scimitar. But there is a lot of Merc Treads value for this team, right? The Ari Charm, the Maokai route, the Maokai Q, obviously the Lulu stuff, obviously the Aphelios route. So building some early MR could provide you with some really, really nice tankiness, especially into Mordekaiser and Ari, and especially into the Ari, who really preys on looking to assassinate individuals to pick up kills. And usually, these guys aren't picking up a lot of MR. But if you're the Garen, if you're the Wukong, if you're the Lucian, you could invest into it and really kind of stifle some of Dorado's early, or sorry, not early, but some of Dorado's, kind of a hyper indexing into that magic damage. So there's a lot of value here. I think Garen with Force of Nature can put the work in as well. We could also see Bennett just play the split push Garen, right? He goes for like the stride breaker into the hole breaker into like a Force of Nature, and he can just be on keeping Mordekaiser in the side lane duty. And if that's the case in a 4v4, the Wukong, Ziggs, Lucian, Nami can put in a lot of work, especially with the wombo that is like Tidal Wave, that is Cyclone, that is Mega Inferno Bomb, right? Like these can do a lot of damage in enclosed spaces. So uh, a wacky composition for sure. I don't hate it, but it might just be a little too weird.
Yeah, it is maybe a little bit too weird. We might be a little too lost in the sauce this game, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
We have a short spectator delay this game, so we'll be back in almost a couple of seconds here, maybe less than a minute even, for our game. We'll see if the funkiness of Big and Chillers will be enough to get their second game and match point, or will Dorado clean it up with a rather clean composition? So let's figure that out after our break.
So that's how you find me anytime, anywhere. 思い詰めた渦に飲み込まれても Words for ぶつけ合うばかりの力の使い道を気に病んでたって何もハモれはしないんだろう Look in my eyes normative rise そばにいたい Just be brave, but you must be stronger. Hey, let kiss one eye, got me no off, me together. Cause I'm lucky to run with them. 繰り返す暁をさ Rush my legs according to you. Get the clock, かけてけど break the bang.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the VRS Grand Final Series, currently 1-1 between Bing Chiller's Hard Hat and Dorado Gaming Gamma. Once again, I'm Becky Rita with Shibby here, watching the man, the myth, the legend, capital G Garen in the top lane. My favorite champion that isn't Maokai. When I was a top laner in the draft, just like in general, and I think my first split casting, I celebrated a Garen pick because it was the worst thing I'd ever seen in my entire life, and now he still haunts me to this day. So I'm glad that he is here. This game, with the phase rush. So honestly, probably the best you could spec into in this game with the Garen. Will not help him, but he will be like a little bit less awful.
Yeah, usually you see the Conqueror as well, but Bennett has opted in for the Ghost TP runes, right? Stuff we see on champions like the Gwen. We've also seen it on things like the Scion before here. But yeah, my first champion I ever mained was actually a Mumu back in like season 2. So I have a special place for that champion. I love seeing it. Fundamentally hasn't really changed. I love the fact that it's got 2 bandage tosses. That's cool.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, I know what you mean. I've got a lot of love for some of these older champions that have kind of been able to stick it out. It's kind of cool that a game that is 10 years old, there are still like season 1 and season 2 champions popping up in the meta every now and then.
Yeah, this game, there may not be any of the original 40 in this match, but we do have Watercat. He got ganked early on and will get taken down here by the Ignite. Tick, tick, boom, as Ari will get that as Dulce showing why you pick Maokai. We saw the Maokai game 1, literally an herbivore tree doing absolutely nothing in Guster Posey's hands, and now Dulce is like, all right, hold up. Let me show you why you pick this champion, baby. And gets that gank on the mid lane, and Watercat already struggling, no sums up. Ari didn't even burn Flash.
Yeah, we even hinted at it, right? Like, Ziggs out of lane, if you can get him out of lane, if you can get him to those mid-game team fights, will be very, very good. But in lane, especially against Ari Maokai, like, that is such a rough combo to go against, because once the Twisted Advance lands, then you can do the charm follow-up, then you can put all that damage with the double Qs coming out from both Maokai and Ari. There is so much burst that, if you don't get that satchel down, if you're Ziggs, if you don't get it down in time and back to your turret, you're dead to rights here. And we saw what happened to Watercat. Insta-dead, right? Went tier straight into the mana crystal, right?
Yep.
Doesn't even have any damage. Like he's starving for gold right now.
You think you're crying? Ziggs is really crying this game.
Yeah.
Got the tier, the blue crystal, everything. He is the saddest man on record. But, giving over first blood to Maokai ganking you and just getting blasted like that. It is what it is. It happens to the best of us. Watercat will just have to do their best to not give over as much gold to keep this lane somewhat even here. And Bennett is suffering as expected here for the Garen. Still not too far down in CS. Just losing a little bit here and there to just entropy and missing right clicks. So it is still going to be fine for the Garen. As always for Garen, he just needs to wait until level 6, and then he actually has some kill threat. On the top side here, we do have Spice going for the top scuttle, denying that away from Posey, who did secure the bot scuttle. So Maokai gets a little bit of time to go farm, catch some of those jungle camps that he left alive, going for that early gank. And now King Civil looking for an opportunity down here. The Aqua Prison is flashed. Griffin avoids death very narrowly.
Not sure if he would have died there, even if he does eat the Aqua Prison, right? He has heal available. Doesn't take the risk at all, though. Is like, you know what? I'm just going to flash it. I'll be good. Guster Posey, though, now has flash. Inferno has flash. Civil has flash as well. So if something lands, if they want to go for something, you know, kind of risky, they can try to potentially aggress onto the Lulu here. But Carino and Griffin doing a much better job than game 2 of kind of controlling this lane a little bit, getting a small CS lead for himself as well, with a little bit of a jungle presence from Dolce, have given themselves a little bit more breathing room. King, Civil, and Inferno actually did a very good job in game 2 of like really being aggressive, really shoving you know, Carino and Griffin under the turret and using that EQ combo from Nami and Maokai as Guster.
Ooh,
that's
Guster.
a dragon you're starting.
Oh no.
Guster.
Flash is going to get blown. The Arcane Smash, well, the Bramble Smash, whoa, Black Betty, over the wall, is going to break the Wukong. He will flash, did not have the Warrior Trickster to escape that one, and will just get taken down. And this Drake he started up will go over to Dulce, TY4 leash.
Yeah, I don't know about that. A level 4 Wukong with, you know, the Sheen trying to get that dragon started, especially when you see King Civil and Inferno shoved under their turret. That just doesn't really bode well here. So yeah, that first dragon going over in the favor of DOGG, and they've got a nice little 1.5k gold lead at the 6.5 minute mark. Game 2 was really close, but in the games where it feels like Dorado Gaming are gonna win, or they're looking to pose a win, they start getting gold leads super early. As King Civil,
ooh, Aqua Prison will go down, but King Civil's taking the bad end of that trade as Barrier will go down. The Lulu shields it well, keep Carino safe, and King Civil with no mana forced back here as Dulce is on the way, waiting in the wings, potentially looking to punish this, but the recalls will be initiated and completed for the bot lane of Bing Chillers as they just give over the lane right now, let it get shoved in by Carino, and the bot lanes will look to reset.
And this Mordekaiser pick, just putting in work, right? Completely counters what Garen wants to do. Garen wants to get in your face, wants to spin, zip around, but the moment the Mordekaiser hits you with like 3 either abilities or attacks, right, consecutively, he gets that aura going, starts chipping away at your health, really actually loves playing within melee range of individuals here. So really smart pick coming out from Ice Spice and the rest of Dorado. But also, we see Dolce opting in for the full tank Maokai, and I love this, where the junglers or tank junglers, instead of opting in for rushing their mythic, they'll go Bammies, and even sometimes they'll just rush straight Sunfire into the mythic, which provides a lot more damage, a lot more survivability, also speeds up your clears because the extra damage that Bammies does to minions and monsters. So I'm going to see whether Dolce actually ends up upgrading the Bammies or goes straight to mythic after this. I do like Sunfire Rush. It's very good, especially on Maokai, who tends to stick onto you, so you can get a lot more of those procs off. But regardless, smart play from Dolce, smart itemization, and has been doing a really good job impacting the map. 2-0 so far for this Ahri, but also 2 KP for Dolce.
Yeah, 2 KP for Dolce. Oh, in the Death Realm, Bennett is feeling the pain right there. Garen will be faltering in this top lane. Will go down here, unsurprisingly. Who mama. It is unfortunate to be a Garen in this matchup. I played quite a bit of Garen top lane, and Mordekaiser, it just sucks. It just sucks. He just kills you on repeat. You have to get really good trades, and he is not finding them. So it is what it is. We'll see if the Garen can pull it back around. He does still have the kill button with his ultimate, but he is definitely going to be in a little bit of trouble in this matchup, especially compared to the Fiora, who was a lot bigger of a threat in later stages of the game than the Garen will be.
Yeah, and not to get it twisted, right? Bennett lost laning phase on the Fiora to the Ornn, by the way, right? It wasn't until Bennett started splitting, the game started dragging on that he really started to become a menace. But Ice Spice, through 3 games now, has just been handling Bennett in the top lane completely, right? Like, for Bing Chilling, Bennett, at least during the laning phase, has not been a strong point for them. And it's really starting to show, right? Ice Spice obviously has gotten the counter pick in games 1 and 3, but even in game 2, when he got counter picked, he was solo killing the Fiora as Ornn. Like, he was handling him for the most part. It's just Fiora ended up doing Fiora things once it hit that 30-35 minute mark and just ended the game outright. But Ice Spice has been a really, really strong pillar for Dorado Gaming and has just been, like I said, handling Bennett.
Yeah, Bennett very much handled in this game. Rylai's has been finished. This Garen is, again, not going to have any fun in this top lane as the lane will continue as Mordekaiser gets items. He will just be suffering. Speaking of suffering in the spot lane matchup, nobody is really too far behind, I suppose. Lucian is actually down in CS against the Aphelios. The Lulu opted into going the Relic Shield this game over the Poke Frostfang, which is a good, I think it's an interesting choice here. Dulce is looking to try and get, secure his camp, getting aggressed on by the bot lane as they have a little bit of pressure too. And Ice Spice is just cracking top laner with no regard to anyone. Didn't even need Herald to do that. Dulce looking potentially to get onto this Drake. It was started by Posey.
Oh, Sluter on the flank.
Sluter is arriving. Charm goes wide. Q goes wide. Now Guster is going to try and get onto the Ahri, but will not find anything. The Cyclone will get popped onto nobody right here. Spinning for spinning's sake.
Oh,
Charm will land under the culling, interrupting it, but Dulce is going to take quite a bit of damage on the back foot here. They are walking away. This is Watercat getting quite a bit of poke down, but it is not enough to take down these carry health bars that are the most important. And with red-white, there will be no fight around this Drake, and Dulce will simply pick it up. Second Drake for Dorado.
You know it's looking really bad when the scaling bot lane has been able to secure 2 dragons, right? Obviously, it's not solely dependent on that. If you have a mid laner that's winning, dragons are much easier to secure. In this case, Sluter has been doing a very good job on the Ahri, picking up kills onto Wukong, onto the Ziggs, has been really smart about this Ahri play and has picked up a Ludens early on. Sluter just taking over game 3 right now.
Yeah, Sluter, with a little bit more proactivity on their champion, is getting a lot done in these fights, in these skirmishes on the Ahri. And with the Ludens here, they are not going to be, this herbivore little I was about to say some words I shouldn't say on broadcast kind of Ahri build. There's no Everfrost in sight. We've got Electrocute. We've got Ignite. We are going to kill you into outer space. And that is the kind of Ahri I like to see. And Sluter is in a great position to make that kind of dream happen. So as the game continues on here, looking around the map, items are getting completed for our mid laners and bot laners here. Essence Reaver picked up for the Lucian. Stormrazor picked up for Carino, opting into that rather than the Static Shiv they picked up in the last game as their starting item, those 2 items were adjusted. Static Shiv was given more damage and Stormrazor lost a little bit of damage, but it turns out Static Shiv is still kind of bad. Shouldn't build it. So Stormrazor will be the pickup here for Carino as the first item. on the Aphelios. Still waiting for
item.
mythics on junglers. Yeah, oh, it's Stormbrazer's really cool, guys. It's a cool item. I mean, Static's a cool item. That makes a lightning bolt happen. Come on, it's really cool.
I think it's cool. I think the splash art's kind of cool too.
Yeah,
I don't
the
hate
item, it looks cool. It's a lightning bolt. That's epic. It's awesome. It makes me bat chest really hard. And King Sifil is a little bit of danger right here. Going to be dip diving and dodging away from Sluder's assault. Now Carino could be in a little bit of danger here. Going to get hit by the culling, but the culling is not enough. Sifil will be poked back right now as Posey's going to be jumping in right here. But Carino will be picking that one up with those long-range auto attacks from the green gun. That Calibrum? Is that the green gun?
Yes.
I remembered it. He's only been a champion in the game for like 3 years now, right? It's about time us casters remember what the gun names are. It's been
Calibrum,
been
Infernum, right now.
Yeah, Calibrum, Infernum. Yeah.
Gravitum is a gun, right? You got you.
Severum is that red or white? Severum.
Severum, I believe, is the red gun, right? And then we've got
Chakram.
the white gun.
Is that Chakram? Chakra? Is it just Chakram? Okay.
Chakram. Chakram.
Anyways, that's Aphelios. Welcome to League of Legends. He's the new character. Watercat is going to be in a lot of danger right here.
Sluder.
The ulti will get fired out. It goes wide. Sluder's just going to be dipping in, dipping out, dipping in, dipping out. Nearly taking down 2 players on their lonesome. And yeah, Watercat and Posey going to have to recall there. But Sluder did burn everything in that kind of unnecessary play on the bot side jungle. And the Herald will go over to Bing Chillers. No, that's Dorado. Never mind, I lied. Herald will be going over to Dorado, and not really any response.
Once again, Dorado picking up every single objective on the map, similar to Game 1 fashion. They got both dragons. Now they will secure both heralds once they pick this one up here. Really, really great performance from Dolce, but also Sluder just enabling all of this happening, right? Just being in the bot lane, being in the jungle, ready to help out his team on a moment's notice on this Ahri and Watercat. This Ziggs pick is just Ziggs, right? Like we just that's what the champion is. Unfortunately, it can't really do too much. It just is a champion. Maybe it'll start doing some more once we get into the mid dragon here that's going to come up, the infernal dragon around the 17-minute mark. Maybe we can start seeing some of that poke come down. But this Garen Ziggs not doing too much. Got a little too cute, like we said, maybe.
Yeah. Little too lost in the sauce. The Garen, I guess, is a split push option, but it is just like such a bad champion unless you have a guaranteed counter matchup for him.
I see what you did there.
He's just a big stick, a big guy who clicks a button and kills you. And it looks like Sluder has that kill button and more here, as Inferno will be poked out of this potential dragon assault. And now with Dulce setting up the saplings, setting up that vision, going to start it up, but they aren't going to quite surrender it yet. They do still have their abilities. Inferno decided not to recall, so they are going to be very low here, and Sluder could just look to get a one-shot, one-piece onto that backline. Carino will be there, will get knocked back. Here comes Guster engaging with the Cyclone, but nobody's able to follow up. Here comes the Super Mega Inferno Bomb, but it is only a moral support ultimate, as it does absolutely nothing. Guster just sprinted it there. That was a sprint. Truly sprinting. And now they're going to be sprinting on to King Civil, who has to pop the cleanse to stay alive from the Nature's Grasp.
Yeah, Guster, I get what you were trying to do. You W over the wall, try to look for the steal. You didn't really have any vision because, unfortunately, the pit was littered with pinks, but now that second Rift Herald being used to crack open this mid lane turret. Tier 1 goes down, and now the flash goes in on the Civil, who has no sums, by the way.
Oh my god, Ice Spices Munch. The raid boss, who's been slowly ramping up in the top lane, has walked into the mid lane and just collected his kingdom, or at least enabled the rest of his team to pick up gold here in the map. And that is just going to be 2 more kills picked up by Dorado, and we're seeing a domination on the same level as Game 1 here, with a very different style of comp to what we saw in Game 1.
I mean, this is a perfect game right now for DOGG, right? No towers have been lost on their side. They've gotten 3 dragons. They've gotten 2 heralds. Every single lane has a plethora of kills here. Jungle game is going as about perfect as you want it. All assists, all the kills have gone onto your carries. Like this, they are shaping up to potentially perfect game. Bing chilling here very, very soon.
Yeah, it's going to be a potential perfect game here. Will Dorado decide to blunder it? I know Gamma, they love to play a little fast, a little loose, especially when they have this kind of lead. So we'll see if they will stay clean, if the lessons they learned from Game 2 are enough to keep them from getting a little too feisty here in the mid game. Just look to close it out cleanly. They have a huge Drake advantage. They have a potential really good Baron shred once Aphelios hits 2 items. So they have, the world is their oyster right now. It is, the onus is on Dorado to fumble this game. There is pretty much nothing that Bing Chillers can do to take an active position here. They have to hope Dorado can screw up. So we'll see if that screw up will happen, or if Dorado can stay, you know, play it slower, play it smarter. Just don't give up anything that you do not need to. No unforced errors, just play it safe, everyone. That's how you play clean, how you don't lose the entire game.
Fun fact, oysters are believed to increase libido. So, you know what?
Great. That is a fun fact.
Do with that information what you will.
What am I gonna do with that information, Shibby? What am I supposed to do?
I know what Slitter's doing with that information.
Yeah,
he's using that libido.
This enhanced libido is just so strong. I'm gonna think about that every time I like, you know, somebody orders an oyster at like a restaurant. It's like, oh, I get it now. I know.
You get it. You get what's happening.
Well, this is a curse. That's like the curse of knowledge that I did not need.
The curse of knowledge. I like that. That is the curse of knowledge. Is 4 towers have gone out, and the only curse that is on BCHH is the perfect game curse. And now the curse of Mordekaiser gets laid upon Wukong, as he's just gonna go down. The man just wanted the grump. He didn't even want oysters. He just wanted grump.
Yeah, no grumps. No grumps will be gotten here, as that is a dead jungler, and that will be the Baron right now, as Carino does have red-white. Will just be looking to shred this Baron down. No, it's not Chakram, it's Crescendum, by the way. Just checked it, because
the Chakrams are the things he throws out.
He throws out Chakrams in Crescendum. Yeah, true. Anyways, this game's a little slow. You know, despite the fact that Dorado is in such a commanding, dominating position right here, it's still rather kind of just like Dorado checking the boxes here. And there's not a whole lot for Bing Chillers to really do this game. So I guess I'm going to throw it to you. I'm going to ask you to salvage this game. You are the brain maker. You're the brain man. How do we bring this game back around if we are Bing Chillers? Is it possible? What are the angles?
A disconnect angle? There's a disconnect angle here?
We're hoping the server go down angle. Okay.
Server go down
the
angle?
worst win con I've heard.
Sluter DCs? His cat unplugs the monitor. Maybe one of Dorado Gaming's moms unplugs the internet. Really, it's difficult because this dragon is going down, and unless Guster can get this deal, it's a little early.
He's gonna look for the flip, and the flip will not go through. Master Chef Carino is not afraid to take those burger flips as just child's play for him. Picking that one up for the team that is Soul. At least Guster didn't die for this one, so it's slightly less bad than the last attempt. but only slightly here. As yeah, I forgot Garen was in this game. Did you remember Garen was in this one? I am now remembering he's here. What has he done? I imagine not a whole lot. He'll be dropping the Stride Breaker here just to do a little bit of damage to Munch, but that is just so little damage and so little impact from the Garen here. Sluter in the bot side just sieging here. The wallets of Dorado are so large right now. Every little bit of poke is lethal amounts of poke. So yeah, it is not looking great as the Baron minions assault the base of Bing Chillers for what could
Still
be
a clean
the
game.
end. Yeah, still
Still a
a
clean
perfect game. Still a perfect game right here. We'll see if that changes as here comes the Nature's Grasp. Guster Posey will Warrior Trickster to avoid any further damage. Now Civil's going to dash forward, but they're going to avoid getting pulled back very narrowly right there. There is a cannon minion in the bot lane there, hitting that turret on its lonesome with the Ahri there. A 4-0-1 split right now is a successful one for Dorado, as they just let the minions do the work, and now that the Baron is ticking down, they are realizing it's time to cut their losses and reset. So, observing this game here, where are we? We are currently 12k gold in the toilet for Bing Chiller's
Sorry.
hard hat. The ice cream machine is there is no ice cream machine. We had to sell it to pay rent. I do not know what Bing Chillers can do this game. Shivy could not offer any insight into what Bing Chillers.
Do you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
There was a DC angle, except it was me.
It was your DC ankle.
It was me. I cursed myself.
Riot heard the calls and they just shot the wrong person. It's tragic. It is what it is.
We're back. It's okay. But yeah, I mean, perfect game. Infernal Soul right now for them, right? They've got that in the map. Baron spawning in 2 minutes. You've got Elder spawning in 3. I'm surprised they didn't just try to end the game. No inhibitors have been taken just yet from Dorado here. But for everybody that's tuning in right now, the score is 1-1 apiece. Game 1, Dorado took it in a very dominant fashion, similar to this game right now at around the 28-minute mark. Game 2 was a pretty back and forth game with Bennett on the Fiora, going for like an insane hero push on the split push, was able to end the game, and somehow Bing Chillings was able to kind of take that one back for themselves. But now we're in game 3. Dorado's on red side as well, and they've just been outplaying Bing Chilling across the map here, just macro wise, right? The kills have stayed 9 kills for almost 10 minutes now, but just the objectives that have gone down, the Barons, I mean, you just look at the box score. Bing Chilling has not been able to do anything. They have been frozen in their tracks.
Yeah. Frozen in their tracks. Truly, they are not chilling. They are simply existing, except for Guster, who is very dead, no longer existing. And it is very much troublesome here. The tidal wave will stop Sluter. Here comes the Nature's Grasp, just grasping onto that Nami, taking a nice, delicious sashimi in the mid lane here. Some nice fish here for the team. King Civil, it's 3v5. It is so much, so much left to be done here for Dorado. Or I guess not a whole lot left to be done here as they crack down 1 inhib, 2 are exposed. It will simply be the end of the game once a minion wave arrives. Garen is back up. Guster is back up. Oh, I guess Garen never died. Guster's back up. Inferno's back up soon. King Civil
Baron never
dashing
entered the
forward.
server.
Baron is still alive right here. All they need to do is dip back, get Baron, and win the game. So it is...
Garen? Did you say Garen?
Garen. Yeah, Garen's here. Believe it or not.
Never died? Garen never entered the server, Becky.
Oh, my bad. Garen has not been playing this game. I don't know what game he's playing, It's not this one. No, it's all over. The first
Moral
turret
victories.
will get claimed, and now Dorado have to live with the shame of losing their perfect game. But now they're just going to be looking to win this fight right here, as Guster will get chunked out really hard. Never mind, that was the
Watercat.
Warrior Trickster. Watercat in the Death Realm, truly dying in the Death Realm, as Inferno will get taken down by Sluter. Guster Posey is a little bit of a cyclone, but it feels like a small gust of wind coming out of a small USB fan right there. No threat, no pressure, no pain being felt by Dorado's comp as they just walk over every single member of Bing Chiller's Hard Hat. This game was an OSHA violation for the Hard Hat employees right here, for sure, as they will get taken down here. Pre 30 minutes, not quite as fast as game one, but even more clean.
You didn't get the moral. You got the moral victory if you're being chilling, right? You got the tower. You prevented the perfect game, right? So we take those. We take those if we're being chilling. But Dorado, Zol brought out the wiffle bat, took it to their knees in game 2, and was just like, you know what? If you don't win this series soon, I'm gonna replace it with a wooden bat. And so Dorado Gaming, giga clean game. I mean, you saw what happened. I saw what happened. I mean, there's not much to talk about. It was just clean across the board. Sluter took over. Carino took over. Ice Spice took over. Like I said, it was a perfect game from every single member. Dolce was pretty much 108 on the jungle. That's a dream jungle game. Realistically, if you're the Maokai, all the kills are going on to your carries. Ice Spice has been handling Bennett in games 1, 2, and 3, and that has been just a strong focal point for them. If you're Ice Spice, if you're Big Chillers, you got to find something similar to game 2. You got to put Bennett on something high scaling, not the Garen. Your Fiora's going to get banned out. Gwen is still on the board. Irelia is still a champion, right? Like, you've got stuff there, but can you pick anything into Ice Spice? You've got to swap it around now, because if you don't, Dorado Gaming is going to come out with the trophy.
Yeah, I really feel like that game was truly just, you flushed it down the toilet. I have absolutely no idea what the Garen and Ziggs were doing that game other than suffering. Like, Lucian is still up, not Lucian, Victor's still up? Huh? We picked Ziggs instead of Victor? Why? But why?
Yeah.
But why? And we picked Garen? Hello, everybody, and welcome back here for Game 4 of our series between Dorado Gaming Gamma and Bing Chiller's Hard Hat. Grand Finals here. Dorado Gaming on match point. Bing Chillers looking to pull it back around after a rather crushing defeat in Game 3. But they pulled back from a pretty crushing defeat in Game 1, so we'll see if they've got something prepared in the tank to bring it back around. Right now, though, bans still being very similar here. Bing Chillers thinking about what they want to ban out for their third in round 1. Maybe they're not going to ban the Zeri this game. They might opt into banning the Aphelios. I'm unsure. No, they're going to ban the Ari this game.
The Sluter Ari is being taken away. That means Lux is still available. That means you've got the Volley Bear available once again for Dolce, but they might just end up taking the Maokai for themselves. Yep, that's fine. Milio's off the table. Maokai did really, really good.
Yep.
So he did do like a pretty wonky clear into like a mid gank, which actually ended up working. They got the kill because of the Ari Sluter. Like we said, the burst coming out with the Ignite as well. Is that going to be locked in? That would be really cool. That was, like I said, I mentioned it in the last game, that was one of my first mains when I picked up League of Legends Super Simple Champion. There we go, the Amumu being locked in. Cool.
Yeah, but
most likely a jungle pick.
yeah, the jungle, arguably the weakest spot here for Bing Chiller's Hard Hat. So, getting the Amumu on the jungler here. It's a very safe pick. Victor will get picked up as well for the mid laner here. Watercat played that very well in Game 2. Surprised they didn't pick it in Game 3, and they decided, okay, maybe Ziggs was not it. Ziggs was not the sauce. We're doing what they can. Tariq is getting hovered here, but they're gonna hover Yone for a little bit. However, they will lock it in. So Yone, one of the Wind brothers, is going to get locked in for Dorado here in round 1, which is a little bit interesting in terms of draft here, although it is still a flex between top and mid. I'm surprised this wasn't the bot lane duo being picked up here. Zeri Yumi is something that is very effective on this patch. But we've got Misfortune, and I'm happy about this one. Misfortune is very, very good. Sleeper good right now.
Yeah. The lethality Misfortune, right? Although Ghostblade actually did end up getting nerfed, it's still pretty busted. I have been seeing like the Ghostblade Misfortune coming back, and it's not even just because it's really good for the ultimate. She actually pops you with the Q and the, like her autos. Like she does quite a disgusting amount of damage. As the Yone, like you said, gets locked in, is a flex pick. Has a pretty interesting build path itself. We've been seeing the Gale Force into like BT, then sometimes you see Static thrown in there. Really, really weird build path now because of the 80 item changes and the crit item changes. Yone and Yasuo got some compensatory buffs for themselves, but also their build path has changed a lot. And Gale Force is really cool because it allows you to gap close, allows you to execute. Super, super cool item, and it's very, very good on the Wind Brothers, like you mentioned. But Mordekaiser being banned away, as well as the Urgot. So 6 legs deep, aka Ice Spice Munch, not going to be allowed to play either of the 2 champions that they have secured a win on for Dorado Gaming. Here is what it looks like. So he's gonna have to show something even more different than what he's been playing so far.
Yeah, still that Yone is always a possibility in the top lane if that's something I want to put up there. The Braum will get knocked in. That is locked in. That is pretty good into Misfortune and Maokai, especially at least in a vacuum. We'll see if that is going to pan out for them, though, as the game plays out at the very least. And now Dorado, they have to sort of reveal their cards on where they are putting these champions. Here's the brand. Oh boy. Huh. That's a really good pick into Braum. Huh. Okay. I'm interested. How do we close this out?
Last week? Didn't we have a brand last week as well?
I think we might have.
We had a brand last week. It was picked as well. I don't know if it was actually picked by Dorado or if it was picked against Dorado, but the Jax being locked in. Dorado saw that they were indexing full AD, and they were like, let's just throw a brand in there, by the way.
Yep.
Doesn't really set up the Misfortune all too well. I mean, you have to land a pretty conditional stun. You do have the Maokai, though, like you said, with the Twisted Advance and everything like that. But Malphite being picked up, potentially, into that Jax could be also flexed into the Yone if they want to. If Victor and Malphite are looking to lane swap or looking to get an advantageous matchup. Bing Chilling picking a lot easier of an execution comp for them. It is literally press one button and you win the team fight, right? It's a Mumu, it's Malphite, you've got a Jinx ready to reset, you've got a Chaos Storm ready to throw down, Braum is there to block the Brand R or the Misfortune R. Dorado Gaming playing a little bit for fun.
Yeah, and actually, you mentioned that we saw a brand last week. We did, in fact, see a brand last week, and it was with a very similar draft as to what we saw, as to what we're looking at right now, where they picked up the AD top lane with the Urgot, and they had the AD mid lane in Yone, where Sluter played incredibly well on the champion, and then they put Griffin on to the brand and just absolutely ran the game over from there. Although they had a little bit of trouble. They might have had a little bit of trouble with Twitch and Milio in that game, but overall, the brand showed up in a similar kind of composition as they have it now. And I think with the Misfortune, they're just a potential damage threat here. The explosive power of their composition is insane. Assuming that Braum doesn't just block everything, you know?
Yeah, assuming that Braum doesn't just throw the shield up or throw the door up. There is, like you said, a lot of burst damage coming out, especially if Brand can land a full combo, a full rotation. An AD carry's worst nightmare is that Pillar of Flame, right? Brand can just put in so much work. He's essentially a second carry in that bot lane, right? They don't build support. They go Leandries, they go Demonic, like they just go to take kills. They play to just win the game here. Like they don't build utility at all. They might spec into a Rylai's here, but I fully expect Griffin to kind of just try to take kills away as MF. Like we said, sleeper OP, very, very good in my opinion, right? Even with the Ghostblade changes, as well as some of the other item changes that have happened, can put in a lot of damage, not just through her bullet time, but through her autos as well. Yone has just kind of flipped the script in mid lane, right? Has been playing mages this whole time. Saludia has just been playing control mages, been playing AP champions, is now swapping over the Yone into the Victor matchup. Opted in for the Lux last time around. Did fine, actually, with the Lux. One lane, I would say, like we said, but it just wanted something a little bit more proactive, something a little bit more mobile. Killed it with the Ahri, right? Can do virtually the same thing with the Yone, especially with the distance, in the spiritual form, plus the ultimate. The matchup that I'm looking at, Becky, and the matchup that I've been talking about since these games have happened is Ice Spice versus Bennett. And yeah, it's going to be kind of a snooze fest. It's going to be Jax into Malphite. All Bennett has to do is press R once team fights happen. But if Ice Spice can once again continuously solo kill Bennett, he's on a champion that can take over the game very, very quickly on the Jax. Can just do what Bennett did with the Fiora, but better. So, I'm looking to Bennett to not fumble the bag in lane.
Yeah, Bennett has to play the best rock we have seen of any rock in this matchup. Do not give anything over to the Jax. Make the Jax suffer. We need to get onto those back lines, get all that damage down, and just let Jinx and Victor hit their abilities and shred through team fights. It is going to be tough. They are on the back foot. They are down in this series. They've lost a lot of momentum, but this could be the comp. It's very simple to execute. Click your button composition and they are looking to just ride this into tying up the series, but they have to get through Dorado with some rather fancy-looking champions here on the Rift. So we'll see who can win the game, whether it'll be Bing Chillers pulling it back around, winning that momentum, and going into Game 5, or if Dorado closes it out here with the power of lethality and misfortune. We'll see after our quick break, because we're going to take one for the spectator delay. So, your last chance to get snacks, because this is going to be an exciting game, and you're not going to want to miss a single frame of action.
Who made you like this? Who encrypted your dark gospel in body language? Synapses snap back in blissful language. Tell me you met me in past lives, past light, past what might be eating me from the inside, darling. Half algorithm, half deity, glitches in the code, or gaps in a strange dream. Tell me you guessed my future and then mapped onto your fantasy. Tell me into your mannequin and I'll turn you into my puppet create. Won't you come and dance in the dark with me? Show me what you are, I am desperate to know. Nobody better than a perfect enemy. Digital demons make the night feel heavenly. Make it real, 'cause anything's better than the way I feel right now. I can offer you a blood-lit paradise. Diamonds in the trees, pentagrams in the night sky. Lipstick, chemtrails, red flags, pink nails, with one eye on the door, other eye on a rail, other eye following a scarlet trail, and the last few drops from the holy grail. Now rose gold chains, ripped lace, cut glass, blood stains at the canopies. Just don't ask me, the first to the feast. Let's choke on the past and take to the broken skies at last. Diamonds in the trees, pentagrams in the night sky.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back for Game 4 here for the VRS Grand Finals between Dorado Gaming Gamma and Bing Chillers Hard Hat. Dorado Gaming on match point. Bing Chillers a game down and hungry to tie it up. I'm Becky with Shibby here. And we have another standard 5-point line of scrimmage between these two teams. Once again, not wanting to make any errors in this early game for either of them. And we can go ahead and take a look around the Rift at some of these keystone choices here. We have the Phase Rush on Victor as opposed to the First Strike. That's a bit interesting. We have Grasp on the Jax into the Malphite. That's a bit interesting. And we have the First Strike Misfortune, definitely indicating that big burst lethality build that is just going to do so much damage in the later stages of the game. if Braum doesn't hit the shield button at least.
Yep, you pretty much described how the laning phase is gonna go. Junglers starting on the same side this time, though we've seen Dolce path bot, I believe, every single game now, playing towards Carino, playing towards Griffin, and especially so as a nice passive
Huge
Carino.
trade here. King Civil's going to be popping the Ghost right now, going to be firing those rockets, ramped up with the lethal tempo, but just not enough damage to close it out. Misfortune had to pop Ghost as well in response. Now Griffin's going to be the one in the line of fire as Jinx is just doing so much damage here. This Braum is actually like insanely effective here in this early game. They get that little bit of brushed cheese and they make the most of it.
That Q is deadly, and Carino dodges out the zap. Inferno and King Civil doing their due diligence in this bot lane, playing it to the best of their ability at the moment, and just stuffing out that early aggression from MF and Brand. It completely just, stuffs out anything they want to do, right? They pick this lane to have lane dominance and instead get traded on, right? Eat a cheeky Braum Q and the rest is history. Now that lane dominance that you think you'd have, that lane pressure, gone because your HP bars are non-existent.
Yeah, those HP bars are no longer a factor in the lane, at least for Carino, who has already popped both of those refillable pots. Griffin, on the other hand, did still have some potions on the tank to keep themselves a little bit healthier. King Civil doesn't have a pot either and is kind of low on HP right now. Griffin now just zoning them out with Dulce there to apply a threat, allowing a safe recall for the Misfortune here. Very smart play from the bot lane here to get that Misfortune out of dodge.
I mean, Dolce just sacrificing his camp rotations, just saying, hey, you know what? You guys need to back. I'm going to come in. I'm going to shove the lane into them. I'm going to shove the wave. So hopefully you guys can get something going, as Misfortune is opting in for the super scaling build, it looks like. Going for the Manamune right now. We might see a Leandri's Manamune Misfortune, right? The AP damage or magic damage is missing from this team composition. I don't think Brand is nearly enough unless he gets really fed. So we could see some shenanigans in that favor. That is a purely an ultimate build, though, right? Like you only build that to get really good ultimate value out of your champion here if you're Misfortune. So we could see it, but I'm thinking we're gonna see typical AD Misfortune. It's just she's opting in for the Manamune.
Yeah. Opting into that Manamune, or at least getting the tier right now. We'll be stacking that up. Who knows when the Manamune will come into her build. Honestly, she might even just sell the tier at some point. That's not something that's it's a little uncommon, but it is still a choice you can make, as the tier is rather inexpensive and just helps for easier trades without having to really manage your resources. It'll give Carino some space to work, as Griffin is just 1-2 in this lane. That's the Brand experience right here. You let your AD carry have fun hitting minions while you are just applying so much endless pressure, especially as the Maokai was there to cover for Griffin and prevent any real further damage there. Bullets bounce like that, and yeah, the bot lane of Bing Chillers it has been flipped on its head right here.
Yeah, that back that was provided from Dolce just allows this bot lane of MF and Brand to really start exerting pressure onto Jinx Braum here. And good job from Dolce, right? These saplings have been A1. He's been placing them in areas where Guster has to walk through. So even if it's not warded, they've been able to ping him out once he hits that sapling. And he's just been providing that extra little amount of vision for his bot lane to play that much more aggressive, that much more up in Bing Chilling's face here, as now they meet in the river. They want to kiss.
Yeah, they're going to be looking to kiss these two junglers here, but unfortunately, the other members of Dorado have descended on to their midnight rendezvous in the jungle, and Amumu no longer is allowed to have friends, or lovers even, in the game, as Yone will pick that one up for themselves. That is 400 gold going over to Sluter, who already carried on Yone last week. So, yeah, already looking pretty good for Dorado.
Yeah, and we know what when Dorado gets going, when they get that engine going right now, they would just start dominating the game. And they were able to pick up that dragon, start the early dragon stacking once again with a bot lane that it should be dominant, that should have shove here, as unfortunately Inferno and King could not follow up, could not help Guster out. Yone, Sluter, once again, something more mobile, similar to the Ari, was able to help his jungler out and just move, while Victor unfortunately just has to stay in the lane as Ice Spice throwing down the counter-strike. Sluter once again trading onto Watercat.
Yeah, Watercat really just is up in CS right now, but that's not too unexpected. We'll see if they can make the most of that little bit of CS lead, if they can convert that into anything around the map. But for the time being, that is just going to be the Yone, who has completed the Static Shock, the Kerchiss Shard. That's the item, which can build into a number of different things for themselves here in the mid lane here. Might go for that early Static Shiv. The item did get buffed once again. Static Shiv did get a buff, so that could be an option. Especially it'll help them deal with Victor just eating the minion wave to death. Is now Inferno is going to look to aggress here. Q goes wide. The passive is still ticked onto both of these bot laners. Carino is level 6, but will it even matter? They get flash. Flashes are traded. Bullet time gets started, but there is not enough time for those bullets to fire as King Civil is just going to drop another rocket, but just like at the start of the game, it's not enough. And the fate of Civil is sealed there by Sluter. Now Inferno is gonna just have to walk away, and Griffin remains alive. Flash is gonna go out. Sluter is going to try and get that kill. Will collect it, but just gonna collect it with that ignite, with that flash, with everything there, cleaning up that bot lane on the back foot.
Yeah, Sluter once again just roaming down, picking up 2 kills for himself, having a similar game like the Ari in game 3. And this is how it got started, right? The only thing we're missing right now is the Ice Spice solo kill, which might happen very soon.
Maybe. It is Malphite. Malphite is rather difficult to kill. He has played Steel Caps. He has the Bramble. So he is just like a big dude. And it's going to be hard for the Jax to really get this kill, especially until Divine is online. We've got a little bit of time for that, though. But once it's online, Malphite is going to have a little bit of trouble into the Jax. But Sluter, on the other hand, is having absolutely no trouble in this game. 3 kills on them, a significant gold bounty on their back, and no amount of bot lane pressure that Inferno puts out. Inferno playing the best they possibly can on the Braum here, but just the damage doesn't convert. It's just not enough.
Yeah, this bot lane has been pretty back and forth throughout the games. Game 1, obviously, Griffin dominated with Carino on the Milio. Game 2 was a little bit different. There was a little bit more Lucian Nami. Amumu was spotted out.
I feel like Amumu was on vision there.
They saw him. They definitely saw him. That's why they're playing back right now. They know that they can't walk up. And the Maokai is being called in for that counter gank as the mid lane is trading in Sluter onto Watercat once again. But Carino and Griffin no, and they're calling Maokai up right now. Dolce can get a really nice counter gank.
Yeah, will Dolce be able to do it though? Mumu realizes this is a waste of his time, walks away, especially now that Maokai has arrived, but now it's decided, wait, maybe it's not a waste of my time, walks forward, now realizes, wait, it's a waste of my time, now tries to walk away, but here comes the Nature's Grasp. The Braum ulti comes down, and now Guster, with decision paralysis, is now just going to get punished for it by the counter gank.
Guster, a W teammate, right? Like, literally tanks the Maokai ultimate for his team, ends up giving his life away so that King Civil and Inferno can live. King Civil, no summoners available, so if he got caught by that, most likely would have been dead to rights here. But unfortunately, you pay the blood price. Griffin and Carino pick up another plate for themselves, and Maokai gets full control of this jungle, as well as Yone getting control of that mid lane, as Watercat did have to back, doesn't have TP available. Just throwing down the saplings here, setting up for that dragon that's coming up in about 20 seconds.
Yeah, setting up for that Drake coming up pretty soon right here. They have all of the pressure in the world here for Dorado right now. Guster will not have the Curse of the Sad Mummy anytime soon. So this Drake will almost certainly be going over to the
Oh,
side
they
of
wanna fight.
Dorado
Malphite's
here.
coming. Bennett.
Yeah, Bennett is coming, but oh my goodness, Griffin has gotten a lockdown, and Sluter will just go and pick that one up. The exhaust will slow the kill down, but not mitigate it, as Inferno gets picked off by Griffin's stun into Sluter's DPS. So yeah, Inferno, Super Mega Death Rocket will go into Griffin's back, but it is no skin off their back taking that damage, as Watercat has to walk away from Dolce, still waiting on that Nature's Grasp, so it'll just be Watercat walking away from here, but that is a lot of pressure by Dorado right now. Herald is in the pocket of Dulce. We'll see if they decide to use it mid lane or if they're just going to save it. As, yeah, that was a dead Jinx. Good night. A Griffin gets traded back. Never.
No! Psych!
Oh.
Wrong number!
Yeah, tragic right there. No shutdown goal taken off of Griffin there, as they just use that damage diff to damage check Civil. Whew.
Oh, and great call out, right? Sluter actually ends up rushing that static shiv, like you mentioned. Did get buffed, is pretty good, and like you said, dealing with the minion wave can just auto it. Pretty much kills the whole minion wave, and then he's allowed to just roam, which is what he's been doing. Sluter 4-0 right now on the Yone, having himself a series right now on the Lux, on the Ahri, and now on the Yone, has just been dominant, I would say, in all the games.
Yeah, dominance here on Sluter this whole series, in fact, but, you know, that Ahri game and this Yone game, as it looks like at the very least. So, yeah, it's looking pretty rough already for the side of Bing Chiller's Hard Hat, as this Herald will collect this bot lane turret for Carino and Griffin. They have no fear. They have no real threat. Yeah, just thinking about the enemy bot lane here is, we have those mythics completed. Misfortune has opted into the Duskblade of Drakthar, which I think is a very interesting choice, not going for that Yomu's, seeing the nerf and deciding, okay, maybe I should try out the Duskblade. And it probably will pay off just because, you know, they're a support anyways, so it doesn't really matter. You know, Brand's the carry.
Yeah, it's... I mean, you just did an ult bot, right? Went Duskblade, like you mentioned. Did get buffed again. Makes Misfortune intargetable as well, which is... Or untargetable, sorry. Which is actually pretty good if you're an ADC, right? If you become untargetable, the Mumu can't ult you, the Malphite can't ult you, so it's a kind of a slick itemization from the Misfortune, which might end up paying off in the long run if you can get a piece of some of those kills or even an assist like we mentioned. Will just allow for that extra safety. Is a little bit better for ADCs in that regard, as Griffin throws the ultimate down.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage from the Brand right there. And the Yone as well, I guess, you know. Not as exciting as Brand, but, you know, we still have to mention that Yone is doing a lot of damage, just in general, very far ahead this game. And yeah, for right now, it is not Bing Chiller's game. Okay, we secured Raptor. We secured the big Raptor. That's a moral victory. Watercat will get Ignite, and there are not enough shields to keep that man alive. Not even the Locket shield will be enough, as Watercat is picked off, and that will almost certainly be this Herald, as if it already wasn't going to be Dorado's Herald. It definitely is now.
Yeah, and not a perfect game for Dorado. They did lose a kill here. Unfortunately, Carino did die, but it's another near perfect game, right? 2 dragons, 1 Herald, now about to be 2 towers as well, 7 kills, and again, a really good game coming out from Dorado Gamma, right? Dulcero, 0-0-3. Best thing you can have for a jungler. Your mid laner, 5-0 right now. The Jackson top lane hasn't killed anybody, but hasn't died either. Has gotten a pretty free lane. Will outscale the Malphite into the side lane, right? He's just a side lane pressure. You've got ult bot Misfortune ready to pounce on any of these engages. Like, Dorado Gaming has set themselves up for a pretty convincing win in game 4 and potentially taking that chip, unless something like game 2 happens where Watercat and the rest of Bing Chilling can start navigating some of these late game team fights, as expertly as they did in game 2, this is looking like a pretty shut case for Dorado.
Yeah, open and shut case. It was a very brutal and bloody execution here on the Rift. But we'll see if Bing Chillers is truly dead to rights right here, or if they will have a little bit of life left in them. For the time being, though, Dorado still are in the driver's seat. And yeah, it will be them driving this car. There is no real threat. It's now Brahm's going to get caught by Dulce, but Guster is going to be locking down Griffin. That's a lot of cooldowns used onto just the brand. They get the brand, but what are they going to lose for it? As they have Ice Spices in the back line, taking a lot of damage, but not going down. Fate is getting sealed for the entirety of Bing Chiller's hard hat. A hard-fought series going downhill so fast for them, as that just Sluter getting a crazy ultimate there and cleaning up Bing Chillers.
Bing Chillers, they take the fight. They thought they could win it. They had the Mal fight. They had the Amumu. They had the Victor as well, all dropping their ultimates onto TOGG here. But it just was not enough. And now the gold lead has sprung nearly 8,000 in favor of Dorado Gaming. Similar to game 1, right? At the 18-minute mark, they're about 8,000 gold ahead. And if this ends up how game 1 ended up, DOGG will end up taking the victory 3-1 here at around the 27-minute mark.
Yeah, another quick victory for Dorado here. If they if they decide that it is in the cards for them to clean this up as quickly as possible, they may play with their food a little bit, we'll see. But the more you play with your food, the more chances you get of them turning it back around. And now Sluter is going to get encaged on, but will take down Watercat. But at the very least, these are some tanky men, and Amumu will cry hard enough to take the Yone down. Yone just felt too bad, just decided to give 1,000 extra gold to the Amumu. That's all right. That's great. Harold getting popped in mid. Dulce gonna be knocked. Oh my god. That's just goodbye, King Civil. On their lonesome underneath the turret, no way to survive. Just at 1 by 1, Bing Chillers fall.
14-3, 8,000 gold. They're going for something desperate right now. They're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Dulce, but the man is just too tanky.
Dulce, very tanky. Nature's Grasp will stop any further assault, and they will just have to... Dorado are opting into backing away right now. There is no Drake up. Baron is coming up soon, and you have to wonder, will they just look to end the game here and now?
Picking up that crab rangoon, as you so aforementionedly called it. 2 minutes, 45 seconds until the next Dragon. Sluter.
Let him live! Let him live! No! Oh, man!
There are 95 people watching, Sluter. Why would you do that?
Oh, man, it's so... I gotta say, it's really awesome that Riot, gave Yone buffs after the item changes. He really needed them. Smile. Jesus. Jeez, well, Louise. Oh, Mamma Mia. It's just a bad time to be anybody on Bing Chillers against this Yone. This is the Yone that nightmares are made of.
This is the Yone that, when you get on your team, he's going like 0-12 top lane, rage split pushing, but then when the Yone goes on the enemy team, he just absolutely dominates you. It's just crazy difference. This is like you said, the Yone of nightmares. I would even argue better than Yasuo right now in its current state. I think Yone is actually a lot better, a lot more flexible, a lot, can be flexed into top lane as well. Though you do have the potential Yasuo flex in bot lane. Yone is just cooler as well. He's got 2 blades. Like, that's just twice the cool.
He's so much edgier. He's kind of a demon. He's shirtless. You know, he's a little grimy, a little nasty. You know, he's just like a cooler character than we've ever had before. Really, just impeccable design from Riot when they made Yone here.
I think they need a third brother. I want to see
A secret third Wind Brother. I feel
Yeah.
like we might be, you know, stretching this a little too thin if we get the third one. You know, not even in the lore.
Make him Zoro. Make him Zoro from One Piece. Get him the third blade in the mouth. Like, just start. Right, it's Zoro from One Piece. I haven't watched it in so long. But yeah, give him that tri-blade action.
We've got Yone, Yatsuo, and Jimmy. You know, that's.
Oh, Sluter! As you can tell, this game.
Victor's looking a little bit like a Jimmy right now, just getting absolutely taken out every single time. And Guster Posey is just next on the list. There's just no life in the eyes of Bing Chillers right now. It feels like we're just like this feels wrong to watch this. I don't know about you. It feels like
I'm told you, Zol brought out the wiffle. He brought the wiffle bat out in game 2. Hurt some kneecaps, and it said if you don't come in with the 3-1 win, he's like, I want to go play Diablo. I want to go play Street Fighter 6 that just released. Like that's what Zol told him.
I forgot Street Fighter, really.
Yeah,
Man,
Street
I
Fighter released today.
I actually am interested in playing that one. I don't usually play fighting games, but the single player actually looks like it's pretty decent this time around, and the characters look cool.
It's a lot more accessible as well. It's a lot more accessible for fighting game players, so you might actually like it.
I love me some Street Fighter. You know, I love to play Zangief, and only Zangief. Anyways, there's a League of Legends game going on, believe it or not. Sluter gets over the wall, goes back in with the separate soul right there, but will not stay in, is low on HP, just saying hello to the friends on the other side of the map right there. Misfortune Ultimate is just going to clean up that wave, force Bing Chillers even further back. You have no chance of survive. Make your time, Bing Chillers. And it is... You gotta wonder how long Dorado are gonna drag this one out. They do still have the Baron. They've got 2 minutes up on that to use it before they lose it. But they've got Soul. They've got all the Baron. They've got the Baron. They've got the Soul. They've got all the Drakes. They almost certainly are gonna look to end the game before too long.
All right, I got a question for chat, who's been watching the whole series so far. Who is your series MVP?
Yeah.
I want to know. I have a feeling I know what people are going to type in. I have my series MVP for sure, but I think a lot of people are going to say Sluter. But I just want to know what chat's thinking right now. I think for me, it's Ice Spice. This guy, just even in their loss, looked crazy good, right? I think Ice Spice is definitely series MVP for me.
Yeah.
It could go either way.
If I only watched this game, you know, I'd consider Griffin, but I also had eyes and watched the last couple games, so or like game 2. I don't know if I'd say that there. And by the way, Bing Chillers is just dead. Everyone is dead. No one's alive. Brand is just the best champ in the format. You cannot compete. The counter pick here, you don't often see it because it is quite rare to see Braum these days. But yeah, Brand is just so good into that champion, and the whole map is falling apart here. There's no hope left. Malphite goes down. That was a very stoppable force in the top lane. No rock to be seen as Dorado pick up their Nexus, and another chip for Dorado Gaming.
VLS Spring Split 2023 champions, Dorado Gaming Gamma, stacking up the trophy room, stacking up the chipboard, man. Eventually, I think they're just going to need to get a brand new house, which how they're just stacking up the accomplishments at the moment. Congratulations to Dorado Gaming Gamma. Unfortunately for Bing Chiller's hard hat, although you've got a really cool name, you unfortunately will not be picking up the VLS trophy. You do go out in second. place, which is not bad. I mean, it's still pretty good. Super fun series, super fun tournament for you guys, I
Yeah.
bet. And really, really, honestly, I don't know who predicted these two teams. I mean, a lot of people probably
hmm
predicted Dorado Gaming Gamma. I don't know how many would have pegged Bing Chillers to be in the finals against them. So shout outs to them. Like I said, very, very good job. Was a pleasure to cast you guys throughout the VLS season. Was
hmm
glad I could make it back for semis and grand finals. And shout outs, of course, to everybody that tuned in to the series. 101 people. Didn't know you guys care this much about amateur league, but with everything that's been going on, hey man, maybe Victorious is the new amateur league to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I gotta say, even though Bing Chillers definitely struggled in that series, getting here was no easy feat for them. They did not have the easiest of brackets to get here. You know, they had to play through a one of the Queen's Gambit's team who upset the first seed from Group B, and they 3-0'd that series. They had to play through Lit Club Esports Noir, who was undefeated in series matches, not individual games. They dropped a couple games here and there, but Lit Club Esports Noir was undefeated up until they lost the series to Bing Chiller's Hard Hat in the semifinals. So they had quite a journey to get here to the finals, and I doubt many people expected them to make it to finals. So the fact that they got here is, you take what you got to think about. Like, sure, it sucks to lose, but when people are kind of doubting you to get there in the first place, it's like, you know, it's what it is. It's yeah, you gotta take the little victories here and there. You gotta think about, things could have been different, but at the end of the day, we played our best. We put out our best game. We made it further than anybody could have expected us to, and we're gonna just enjoy. The season's over. We get second place prize money. That is polls in Honkai Star Rail. So you never say no to a little bit of extra money. Uh, but hey, congrats to Dorado. They played this series. Aside from game two, which was a very back and forth, and arguably you could say that Dorado lost it more than Bing Chillers won. I would say that Bing Chillers won that game. They played really smart with the Fiora. So it was definitely Dorado favored, but that's all we have to say. Good stuff to Dorado. Although
Is that
actually there
all?
is
Is that all, Becky? Is that all we have to say, Becky?
well, actually, thinking about it, I'm looking at some of these games here, and particularly when you think about how in game three there, that really depressing loss for Bing Chillers where they had Ziggs and Garen in B4, B5. How did they get that draw? How did they get that composition? How did they get there? How did they arrive at that spot? Uh, well, you know what? It was probably a little bit of a draft error there. But fortunately, I have something for you. That's right. We got one more of these before the end of the split. We are at Victorious always excited to talk about our partnership with the folks at procomps.gg that helped bring this split to the next level. If you haven't heard of it already, because you always turn off the ad breaks when I start going into them. ProComps is a powerful drafting tool for League of Legends players to provide a competitive edge before the game even starts. You may remember many times when you lost the game during Champ Select, and ProComps comes up with has provided you with this great product to help you improve your drafting skills. With ProComps, you can find the best champions to play at any point during the draft, review your team's strengths and weaknesses, and get many other crucial insights regarding team composition. After the draft, you can check the summary page ProComps provides and see which lanes you should focus on in the early game and understand the objectives and priorities. ProComps is even integrated into ProDraft, so you can easily use it during your scrims. ProComps are also now on Overwolf and 100% free. Be sure to check out ProComps today to give yourself a competitive advantage before your game begins. That is PROCOMPS.GG. Thank you to ProComps once again for partnering with us and enabling us to provide you this great tournament and all of our great tournaments here at the Victorious, under the Victorious umbrella. And thank you for joining us here on the Rift. Thank you to Shibby for being here. I guess we didn't talk about MVP. It's Fluter. Congratulations.
Is it actually Sluter?
Congratulations. I mean, do you have you said it was Ice Spices, but
I like. We didn't even do like a vote in the chat.
well, we don't. None of us have authority to do chat votes. So congratulations.
Okay,
Uh,
okay. 1 for Sluter, 2 for Ice Spice in chat. I'll count it real quick, and we'll get the MVP.
okay. Now we haven't considered the Guster Posey. That's so rude. I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, they just
That
lost.
is that
That's just not. That's just
don't
rude.
even
That's just cyberbullying. You know, they were crying in game on the Amumu. I'm not here to make it any worse. It's
Right.
already been a a tough situation.
All right, so I'm just seeing a lot of Sluter in the chat here. No Ice Spice. So, yeah, I guess it's Sluter
You know
MVP.
what? Sure, we're just gonna go with that. We don't give it we're just gonna give it to Sluter. I do think that Ice Spices played incredibly well too, and Carino played
Yes.
incredibly well. There's an argument for Dulce on the Maokai doing it so much, doing so much work, really showcasing why this champion is actually good, and you should be picking Maokai, as long as there's no Milio on the table. It wasn't Griffin, even though I really liked the brand performance. But yeah. No, I feel like anyone on Dorado this series could have arguably been that big power player, that MVP, because each of them had their little MVP moments during the series. Once again, just like last week. And for me, at least, I feel like Sluter just he got the resources and he didn't fumble the bag. And sometimes that's all you gotta do to put in a carry performance is not fumbling the bag, right? Uh, anything else you would like to say in terms of that?
Shout out Victoris. Shout out to all the fans and everybody that tuned in. It's really fun. I always like casting Victoris. Hopefully, obviously, I can come back. I was not as present as I was last season. This season, unfortunately, I was moving around and had some life stuff.
Mhm.
But like I said, super fun. Always love casting with you, Becky. Even since last season, it's been a blast. And so yeah, shout out to everybody. Shout out to Dorado, Bing Chillers, Victoris. You know, shout out to everybody. Special thanks to Scrams, by the way, the producer, unsung hero. Nobody ever talks about him, but this guy makes us look good. Does everything, as well as Bondi, who always checks in with me every week to see if I'm casting, which I love from somebody like him. I love that. So yeah, shout outs to those two unsung heroes of the Victorous channel and the Victorous team. Really, really nice. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Yeah, shout outs to shout outs. That's how it is. And of course, thanks to all the teams who competed during the Victorious Rivals series. We do not have a split without every team who puts their money where their mouth is, and tries to put in a great performance here. Teams who fell in group stages, the teams who bottomed out going winless during groups, the teams who floundered in playoffs, choking into oblivion. And of course, the teams who battled it out in hard fought wins to make it as far as they possibly could. So, big thanks to the teams, as always, for participating in our competition, because we do not have a competition without you. And yeah, that's about it for us here tonight. And I believe this is the last series in for Victorious's spring split in general. So nothing else is coming up immediately in terms of what you can watch. But if you would like to participate in on the action yourself, you can always join the Discord if the Discord links are working. I think somebody was having trouble with them. So if you would like to get on the action yourself, join. If you don't have a pre-made team, you can always join the draft leagues. The draft leagues are a lot of fun. As a draft goblin myself, I love playing in the draft leagues, and be playing Udi or Maokai for 7 to 10 weeks and no other champions. It was really fun. I couldn't get enough of it. So if you want to be in on that action, you can join the draft leagues as a solo player. If you've got a pre-made, we have pre-made leagues for each set. We have the gold league, a plat league, which is what this was, and of course our diamond master league in the VTS. So if you want to join in, it's a lot of fun to play. It's a lot of fun to get in the community. Each individual league community is pretty talkative. Some more talkative than others, but it's still a solid community. So feel free to join in for those who are already not part of the league. That said, I'm done spinning my wheels. We're gonna close this one out. I have been Becky Rita with Shibby. This is it for the Victorious Rival Series and the Victorious Spring Split. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for your support throughout the split. We will be back in summer for every league, coming back at you with more Victorious action.
I can hear the sound of a heartbeat before it goes out. Won't ever leave my memory of bloodshed all around. And I can see a tear on my father's face before it falls out. Oh, my enemy, how could I have ever let you down? When all these trees saw us grow, cut our teeth and make our bones right here. We play with shields made of stone, share our dreams and sit our thrones. Be still, 'cause I see smoke up ahead and I got steel in my hands. Return like warriors, I swear that we'll find glory up ahead. Tell me, where is my home? I don't recognize the faces anymore. No, where is my friend? The one I've known since I was only just a kid. I think it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye. Oh, it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye. Oh, it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye.